Welcome back to The Night Shift, your safe space. We're talking about UFOs, UAPs, NHI, disclosure, and everything else. Your friends, family, and coworkers are so sick and tired of hearing you go on and on about. We're like The View, but with a bunch of middle-aged guys in a spare bedroom talking about UFOs. Otherwise, it's the same basic idea. Got a great show for you tonight. I've got Xander's with me. Pavel's here. Dan couldn't join us tonight. He's in Thailand shooting a movie with Chow Yun-Fat, but he'll be back with us again next week. We have a very special guest who we'll introduce in just a moment. But before we do, welcome to all of you. It's great to see everyone in the chat. The chat is on fire today. It's been a very interesting news week. There is a lot going on in the UFO world and just the weird world in general, and that's leaving out all of the other stuff that's going on. It's just a lot of shit happening at one time. We're going to try to get to most of it, and then at the end of the show, we're going to take your questions and respond to some of your thoughts and hear what you guys have to say. Real fast, thanks, Wes Decker, for the awesome super chat. You're awesome. We appreciate you guys for being there and giving us someone to talk to every week about all this, because without you guys, we couldn't do it. And Ezekiel, thank you. Let's go. Happy Doomer Friday. Thank you. Okay, guys. Our first guest today, you know him, and if you don't know him, you will know him soon enough. He is Ask-A-Poll's Matt Laslo. Matt has covered Congress for Wired, Vice News, Playboy, Rolling Stone, Vice News Tonight with HBO, The Daily Beast, along with 65 plus local NPR member stations since 2006. Since 2016, Laslo's been an adjunct new media and journalism professor at various schools in the nation's capital, including Johns Hopkins University, Boston University, George Washington University, and the University of Maryland. Laslo's made a career out of pulling the veil back and showing Congress as it really is. And we also hear that he's fun, knowledgeable, untamable, unbought, and a tad unpredictable. Matt, how you doing, man?
Lies. All lies. How you living?
Living large.
You know what I hate about springtime in Washington? It's really beautiful, and it really masks the swamp. Then in like 2 weeks, it's going to get really hot.
It is so beautiful up there this time of year.
You got to help remind me that I'm in the devil's playpen.
Thanks for carving out some time on a Friday to come hang out with us, man. This is really nice. It's good to finally meet you and make your acquaintance. Yeah. We're all big fans.
Man, thanks for having me on.
I want to start by just getting your sense of what it's like working that beat. You are on the inside talking to these folks every day, Anna Paulina Luna, Burleson, Burchett, and everybody else who seems to be involved in some deep layer of this whole thing. What is that like for you?
Dude, I mean, this is where I'm torn, because I say I'm a professional babysitter. I call Congress my wayward children. But like within the kindergarten care that is the U.S. Capitol, there's some toddlers. And sometimes some of the folks in this UAP beat are definitely the toddlers. Sometimes they're throwing their own shit. So yeah, it's an interesting beat, because then you go on the Senate side and you bring up UAP or UFO and their eyes about like roll off their heads. And even so much so that in last year's NDAA, they stopped even using the term UAP and UFO, and the provisions they had in there for UAS, unmanned aerial systems, those were geared towards UFO. And so it's like just two different universes, Senate and House.
Why do you suppose that is? Why is the House so ready to discuss this stuff, but the Senate so standoffish?
Well, it's interesting, and this is something to watch in the coming years. Like Senator Fetterman from Pennsylvania, he's not really on any of the big foreign policy committees. He's not on armed services, not on intel, but he really cares about the issue. So he's like sitting there eating popcorn, watching it from afar. But because he's not on the committees, he doesn't really have any natural claim to the issue. Because the Senate, it's totally seniority system, all that. Another one to watch is Cory Booker. Now he's on like health committee stuff like that. But when I interviewed all 100 senators on David Grush back in 23, Booker was like, oh, what do you got? He's like, my staff loves this stuff. And so you could tell there's an interesting conversation in his office about this stuff. Some of the other ones, another one is Senator Boozman, head of the Ag Committee from Arkansas. He's on the Ag Committee. Not much UFO and Ag related, but he's watching the issue from a distance. So that's where I don't know if the people who get on armed services and intel, like whether they, get whipped. And so that's why their tongue stops moving. But yeah, or maybe they're just good at being cold-hearted bastards.
Have you ever seen that happen before, where someone wasn't on a committee and then they got onto a committee and then they stopped talking about whatever, or they clam up?
The flip of that is what we're seeing with Moskowitz right now in the House. People are like, hey, what happened to him? Well, he got moved off of the oversight committee to get onto like the number one committee in his mind, because he's a lawyer, Judiciary Committee. And so the way it works usually is you only get like one pristine, like top level A committee or whatever. And so you're not going to get, it's rare to have, I think there's only 4, maybe 6 senators who serve on both armed services and intel. And so Moskowitz, when he got moved to judiciary, they're not really touching this at all. So he's still watching the issue from afar. But yeah, and like when they have hearings, he gets special permission to even be able to like sit at the dais and stuff like that.
Is that how that works?
Yeah, it's arcane.
Wow. So what is your sense then of like, you talk to all of these different folks that we see the clips, and I'm assuming you talk to them a lot more throughout the week when you're just running back and forth.
There are dozens and dozens of interviews that I just never share, because half the time these kids do not do their freaking homework.
I want to ask you about that, but first I want to know, what is your sense of like what they each know? Are they all operating from the same pool of information, more or less, like Luna and Burchett and Burleson, or are they, do they know different things and have different ideas about what it is we're dealing with?
I don't think I've dropped this interview yet, but we have new Burleson coming out after my haircut in a couple of hours. And Burleson tells me that he actually wrote a letter, I think, to the Pentagon like a month before Luna came out and publicly talked about the 46 different videos that they're trying to get declassified or whatever. And y'all are going to hate this. Here's the scoop. The intel community or whatever, and I believe Arrow, is now working with Congress. Next step is to give them the UAP caucus, private classified briefing. And I'm like, no. Well, what about the public? Is this disclosure? And they're like, we don't know yet. And so it's right now seeming a little bit like business as usual, despite the commemorative coins that
is that where your deep statey comment comes from, Matt? You recently did one, right, on X?
Yeah. So yeah, and my deep statey comment was, so let's take a step back. You have, especially in the House, like in the Senate, Gillibrand kind of looks at Arrow like it's her like deformed little kid. Might be freaking deformed, might not know how to walk, but like she ain't gonna, kill her kid. And so in the Senate, like, boom, they are not giving up on Arrow. And again, I think it was just crafted in 2022. The whole reason they crafted it. This is actually one of my favorite interviews. I think it was my last one with Senator Rubio before he went to become Secretary of State. And I was asking about Kirkpatrick, and Kirkpatrick had just left, and he was, out there doing his little media tour, which was just utter BS. So, like, all the members were like, wait, that dude's out there saying that stuff? Like, where was he when he was leading Arrow? And Rubio kind of like, just like exhales, and he's like, man, he's like, that's why we created Arrow. He's like, he was pissed at Kirkpatrick because he's like, wait, you have to do Kirkpatrick's homework? No. The Senate created Arrow because we wanted to wash our hands of this. And so Arrow was intended to be public facing. Well, so now on the House side, UAP caucus, Luna and Burchett especially, or pardon me, and Burleson especially, have kind of fallen in love with this FBI UFO unit. And what they said when they first learned about it last year is they were like, well, first off, when they first learned about it last year, Senator Rounds was like, they're there, kids. They're there. Because the senators had known about this unit long before the UAP caucus even learned of it. Growing pains for these kids.
If you don't mind, so what you're saying there, Matt, is they're like, okay, great, yeah, this is some great information. Let's bring in our resident UAP task force into like Arrow into the equation. That's basically what you're saying.
Well, I mean, on one level, the Senate, they'll deal with Arrow. The House is like so over Arrow that they're kind of looking for this FBI unit to kind of take over its place. And I'm like, I keep pushing them on it. I'm like, guys, do you know that the FBI's mandate is to be secretive? Like, their mandate is the opposite of Arrow's mandate. Arrow might be doing a shit job at it, but they were supposed to be public facing. And so pushing members on it, they haven't really totally connected the dots, because I think their calculation is, all right, we just need to get our foot through the door. And it was actually funny. The week they learned of that FBI unit, we broke the news at Ask a Poll UAP on Substack. And that Friday night, for the first time in my 20-year career, I got a call from a member of Congress telling me that the FBI was not happy that I broke that news, which just made me fucking giggle, because those FBI agents, put the fear of God in this congressman. I'm like, awesome, I pissed him off. Woo! Can we go live right now?
Wow.
Different
I guess,
mandates.
Just on that note, that's a good way to start off Doomer Friday. So if you go to doomerfriday.com, we have a live Doom meter, and yeah, on the news that Arrow is apparently going to get involved officially now with whatever disclosure push we're currently in. It's a good time to introduce the Doom meter. Go ahead, you can go there and vote.
Wait,
We're
what's
on
the three?
Doom Condition 3. It does go to 11, I am told. No one has ever reached 11, but it is possible.
We'll get there tonight.
We'll get there tonight. Wow, that's a lot to take in. So they're not even in this. They're not even operating on the same playbook. There's the House and Senate are completely disconnected on this.
Dude, they're literally having, and this is like half of my job these days, and a lot of it, I did my MA thesis on increasing partisanship from like the 80s on. When I say today's problem is tribalism, it's no longer partisanship. But so because I'm always studying Fox News and OAN, when I first was covering that group that did all the book bans, Moms, what's their freaking name? Moms for Liberty or something?
Yeah, I think that was it.
When I first was covering them, they were having their annual conference in Philly. It was the second annual conference. You had President Trump going to speak there. Nikki Haley, that's when she was running for president, she was going to speak there. Alabama Governor Hutchinson, he was going to speak there. And I asked all these Democrats, including a couple leaders, not Jeffries, but I asked the number 3 House Democrat, also asked Elizabeth Warren. And Elizabeth Warren, she's professor too. And she goes, wait, I should know who they are, right? It's like, guys, you're nuts. Also, Cory Booker, he had no idea who they were. And it's like, guys, you have this luxury in this make-believe swamp here to not have to know who Moms for Liberty is. But a lot of these House members don't have that luxury, because when I asked Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, one of the squad members from Michigan, she goes, Moms for Liberty is having success in my mosques because Muslims are so conservative. They're like, this bigoted message is working with my community. So even though all these party leaders have this luxury to not know about this, people on the ground, in that Philly thing, all the progressives in Philly were marching and stuff. They got in scuffles with the police, and yet Democratic leaders have no idea it's even happening. And that's where, again, you had President Trump going there to kiss the ring. And so that's like my fear these days, is that like half the time lawmakers aren't even arguing with each other. They're literally just yelling past each other. And like, that's why Joe Biden became like the biggest liberal progressive ever, if you watch Fox News, because they just like beat him up. And like, so my dad, conservative, evangelical, 2016, he couldn't vote for Trump because he read the Bible and he's like, that motherfucker doesn't look anything like my Jesus. Well, fast forward to 2024, there was no question my dad was voting for Trump. Why? Because he had to save the world of the devil, which was Joe Biden. And so like, we're just these different warped realities. And that's what terrifies me, because it's so easy to hate and vilify that which you don't know. And so when it comes to this issue, you literally had the Senate and the NDAA last year change the lexicon.
Do you think it's partly, you just mentioned something that's really interesting about the nature of kind of our news ecosystem right now, and how how do you feel about, in general terms, how this topic has been covered since 2017? Because there seems to be a sense from people looking in that there's a lot of motion, there's a lot of activity, it's leading towards some kind of an outcome or a resolution, and we're just kind of like waiting for the other shoe to drop. But what you're describing sounds a lot more disconnected and disorganized than that. Is it being covered properly? We see it on networks, like I see it on Fox, we see it on CNN, we see it on, of course, News Nation. What's your assessment of like the media landscape around UFOs right now?
Well, I mean, on one level, it's terrible, but that's like looking at the forest level. It's been insane. Like these past 2 weeks, there's been like actual news, and like lawmakers have known some stuff. All last year, it was literally just like pulling teeth to get any lawmakers, even ones on the UAP caucus, to focus on this issue at all. And part of that, I think, was a good ploy by GOP leaders. Like, how do you throw water and like put out this fire from your like far right fringe folks? Well, instead of giving them the select UFO committee they wanted, GOP leaders were like, here, we're going to entrust you fringe members with being in charge of every secret under the sun. And so literally all last year, they were like breaking the JFK conspiracy. They were investigating the RFK assassination, MLK. And what did we report at Askapol? Like their first couple meetings in the secret task force, UFOs wasn't even mentioned. And so like GOP leaders won that battle because they gave those members a shiny object and it distracted the kitten. But once they were done with everything else, then they finally, and I think because we're persistent, the community pestering me and then me pestering them in person, got them to take it serious again. And I think because like half of my job, especially like now they want to do a June 4th House markup for the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act. So kind of like clockwork, we know that there's going to be a conversation, or that members, their easiest chance to force a conversation on this, even if behind closed doors, is UAPDA and all those other provisions, UAS provisions, which Senator Kaine told me the UAS provisions in last year's NDAA would have dealt with the Langley incursions when Langley was shut down for 17 days by drones or whatever. So we'll see with Trump, as he's wont to do, with him getting involved, there's been new energy, and especially with the UAP caucus folks, because they feel like they're part of the administration. The administration doesn't feel that, but because they take their orders from Trump,
Oh,
I'm literally like, wait, they're out there saying all this classified info. I'm kind of waiting for FBI agents to come and like arrest one of them because now they're talking about stuff they saw inside of skiffs, which is illegal. They have to sign away their life going in there. And so I'm very curious watching those dynamics. But then now with the scientist stuff, I just want to say with these missing scientists, and I use the quotes around missing, like literally talking to Comer. Well, Comer, we broke this earlier at Ask a Poll UAP. Comer's like, the FBI didn't even know about this until like 7 days ago. So like they haven't even started their investigation. He's like, NASA, haven't heard anything from them. Department of Energy, haven't heard anything from them. And so he's like, I don't even think these agencies have staffs to be able to handle this. And so
Are you thinking about holding hearings into the missing scientists, the 11?
Well, we want to get the information first and go from there. I don't want to create a big spectacle if there's nothing there.
Yeah.
But no one's investigated this. I mean, the FBI just has become aware of it in the last week.
Yeah.
And like
What?
right there, like Comer is not the most circumspect man, but he's like, wait, there's a lot of smoke, but we haven't seen any fire. So even there, he's like, he wants to rush in and like be on Fox and like, freaking
right.
Benny Johnson and just say all these conspiracies are like, oh, this is reality. Like, oh my God, the worst thing to happen to this issue is my former boy, Benny Johnson, giving these lawmakers the platform to spout idiocy that's unconfirmed, just gibberish and rumors.
With horrible clickbait too. If
I know.
may add.
so
He
a
didn't
lot,
even retweet me earlier
a lot of it you're saying is
when I
just-
had like actual news to update his non-news.
so
retweet. Thanks, bro.
from the outside looking at it, it looks much more organized than that. So you're just saying that this is much more of a shit show from when you're inside of it looking out.
Well, yes and no. What I'm curious about, like, it seems like Luna has kind of a direct line to Tulsi Gabbard. It seems, or at least they're like friendly. And Burchett made her that longboard. So like they obviously have each other's numbers and stuff. Kash Patel, like Luna told me she's got his number, but
I feel like he's got other things going on right now.
Yeah, well, hey man, I'm a two-fisted alkie. Maybe I should put Kash Patel on my beat. But so I don't think it sounds like when they go to the FBI, they're connected with this group that's like the small UFO unit within the FBI. I'm very curious, like what the top brass knows, if the top brass even knows this unit exists. And so that's where one thing that's been a theme with Burchett is he's like, the president, he's like, I trust his intentions, but he's like, I don't think he knows where to look. And so that's where it was interesting that Comer even brought up Department of Energy and stuff. But this is one of those, because there's so much attention on these scientists, these missing scientists or whatever, this is one of those things where it could really like backfire on the community, because if it ends up being much ado about nothing, then that's where like Comer is trying to slow walk it so that they don't, have a huge hearing and then find out like, nope, there was literally just 11 really strange coincidences.
Right.
Right.
But didn't Burchett even recently like go on air and say like, I am not suicidal. I am, I'm not.
They all do.
I'm not a risk taker. Was that, you think that's
It's so
social
funny
media
It's
clout?
so funny when they do that, because I'm always a little bit suicidal. Like, I'm really opposed suicide. So I'm like, hit or miss if I go, guys.
Well, I saw, who did I see just
don't
today?
commit suicide. And if you need help, professor and study to be a pastor in a past life. So reach out to me anytime, especially when I'm contemplating a bridge.
He who was the NASA, the Air Force, was it the Air Force flight surgeon or NASA flight surgeon at Cape Kennedy? The one who saw a UFO, a disc in a hangar.
When he was on with Jesse and
yeah.
He
He just did a video like that today. He was like, I'm just putting it out there. I'm not.
I thought you were gonna say he died.
No. He's saying I'm not a risk taker. I'm not a. I have no medical problems. If something happens to me, just heads up. Like it's not that. And I want to ask you, like, in this particular realm, it seems like the community has a lot of power over at least certain members of the House. Not in power, but influence. They're paying attention. Like that, you put out a video of Burchett. You were walking with Burchett at Walk and Talk, and he gets stopped, I don't know, 5-6 times.
Yeah.
People, is that all the time? Or do they have fans?
We should probably
He's
watch
a Southerner, and he's genuine, but man, he's way too nice.
Yeah.
Like I have this theory that Senator Tim Kaine and Senator Cory Booker are serial killers because no one can be that nice and happy all the time. I'm pretty sure there's some buried bodies with them. Burchett, he's just that Southern gentleman. And like one time I was interviewing him, and a member of the Black Caucus walks by. I think it was Reverend Jesse Jackson's son. And he's just like, "Hey, Tim, how you doing? Oh, we got to get that barbecue down in Tennessee again." And I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And he's just like, "Oh, that's right. Burchett, like, is genuine." So yeah, everyone kind of likes him. Don't really mean they respect him. And especially House leaders kind of hate them because they were a part of ousting McCarthy. And so that also means like a lot of the military contractors and the party funders don't really like some of these UAP caucus members because Burchett, Mace, they're the ones who burned millions of dollars that these firms had invested in McCarthy. The interesting thing, I was talking to a member of the House Intel Committee, maybe former member, and I was asking him because there's a base in his district where one of these generals is reportedly dead or committed suicide, and I was like, "Hey, you know that guy?" And he goes, "Hey, it's between us." He goes, "I don't know what's up with these like 11 missing scientists." He's like, "But I wrote down a list, and I'm just going and calling all my buddies, like within that community." He wanted to check and make sure they were still around, which I was like, "Wait, that's a little too real," because that member knows a lot more than even these UAP caucus members. And I was like, wait, are you really scared, or are you just like messing with me?
Is the FBI unit that's the UAP unit? What do we know about that unit right now? What is known?
I don't know. I'm just thinking of Mueller and stuff in my head. I've got no clue who these folks are. I know
a little bit.
My Friday nights.
Yeah,
I know a little bit. I know that Jay Stratton has mentioned before that he's working with them and has been working with them. So presumably that's the group that is working together with the FBI. I don't know if I trust them, to be honest with you, but and I know that Luna wants to replace Arrow with them, I think, right, Matt?
Well, yeah. Well, that's what she said, because they like left. It was like they were taking on a tour of Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. They just came out, because usually when these members leave the skiffs, this is why I've been like doing some eye rolls the past couple of weeks, because I'm like, wait. Y'all are now talking about like, oh, you saw the goods in there. I'm like, I've been outside of like every skiff briefing you guys have had, and y'all just leave depressed, saying they lied to us, saying they didn't bring the right experts. Like, oh, they should have known we were going to ask these questions, but they didn't have those docs, so they wasted our time. I'm like, go back on Ask a Poll and play the tape. Like, that's literally the interviews. And so then the telling thing from that Matt Gaetz interview where, he was talking about the like hybrid human and alien program. Like, that wasn't a skiff briefing. Remember, we have a mental health crisis in this nation, especially in our military. like the number's wrong, but there's that number like 21 suicides a day or whatever. So like we have a mental health epidemic in the military. That's not to discount any of these folks, but like when a guy in a uniform or who like had a uniform walks into Matt Gates's office and starts talking about these hybrid programs, that is on a different level than a skiff briefing, which I don't think Matt Gates gets. I don't know if Burchett and them get that, but like you, like me as a professor, like my door's always open. And yeah, I hear from a lot of nuts.
Yeah.
I know how to weigh that. I do not know if these members of Congress know how to weigh that stuff.
I have a quick technical question, if you don't mind, and you're welcome not to answer if you don't want to reveal your secret source or whatever. But you just said that you're waiting for these guys when they come out of the skiff. I thought, I would have presumed that they would keep their scheduling as it relates to skiffs more confidential, or is it really that public that you can literally look up their schedule online?
Well, no, this is why it's feeling deep statey. So like Senator Gillibrand, I think her and Senator Kelly are some of the few senators who just like ran on transparency. So they'll like publish their schedule at the end of the week. So that's where I think Dean Johnson or whatever was like, oh, Gillibrand went on this like 2024, maybe 2023, but like classified tour of Nevada and then some California installations. So like we learned about that after. Well, last year and the year before, because I've got the only UFO news outlet in the nation's capital, either the members or their staffs would alert me because they wanted me there. Well, maybe I just became like a lot more of a jerk or something. But to learn, we broke the news yesterday that Burchett was like in a skiff briefing last week, in another one this week. And like, they didn't tell me, they didn't tell Joe Cahill at News Nation. And like, for those, especially now that like Fox is kind of watching the scientist issue, and because the president of the United States has promised transparency and disclosure, whatever that will mean, I bet there would have been a lot of national press interested in that. And instead, what did we get? We got the UAP caucus acting a lot like the secretive, deep statey FBI office, operating in secret. And like, yeah, on one level, you gotta operate in secret on this issue, especially now at this point, whatever the timeline of disclosure or whatever is, but like the UAP caucus is kind of only as strong as their whistleblowers, and so like getting that free flow of information is huge, and not scaring away those officials who might have some of the answers to some of these questions. So like, yeah, I get the media strategy, but y'all are feeling very deep statey to me. And like, part of me wonders if it's like Luna attacking me personally. If she's like told them like, hey, don't talk to Laslo, blah, 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 which the fact that I had that little hunch means watch out, because that pisses me off. And
so potentially there's still a little bit of beef there, or like from the last mishap that you guys had.
Yeah, since she accused me of lying, because last year I asked her whether her and Matt Gates saw bodies, and what the congresswoman with the secrets chair replied was, I can't comment on classified skiff briefings. Then, like a couple hours later, Matt Gates, this was when he was in Congress, his office, this is like a Thursday, Friday night, his office goes out of the way to email me, hey, Laslo, here's a statement. And their statement confirmed that there was a meeting, a classified meeting that Luna and Gates went to. And I had asked the question, like, so were you guys shown bodies? And so they emailed me information in that context. Well, so then fast forward like a year later, I like shared that post, which has the raw interview with me and Luna and her saying, I can't comment on that. And then Luna goes, Laslo's a liar. That never happened. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, wait. So now you can say it was BS? Why didn't you say that when that clip was literally going viral? Like, you have that much disrespect for the UFO community that you allowed that falsehood to sit out there for a year. And then because like I got sick and didn't go to your UAP hearing this year, you got pissed off at me. And so now you're going to talk about this classified briefing.
And
it's like, just kids.
And you didn't just get sick, dude. You were like down on the floor. Like, it was horrible. You told me about that.
Yeah, I couldn't move. But so that's where, again, we were talking about it a little earlier. But so that's where I'm curious, the transformation, the evolution of this UAP caucus. Because what? We'll drop this interview tomorrow or Sunday. But like, Congressman Grothman, he's been talking to Comer about doing this investigation into the missing scientists or whatever. Well, Grothman, he's the one who chaired the David Grush hearing. When I asked Grothman, like, hey, are you guys going to be doing, like, is the whole oversight committee going to be handling this investigation, or is the secrets task force going to handle this? And he goes, no, not that. So, like, don't forget, GOP leaders still do not trust the UAP caucus and have muzzled them by putting them in charge of every secret and every conspiracy under the sun. And so now that there's an actual issue with these missing scientists, whatnot, that's when GOP leaders are like, oh, we're taking our control back because we, at the end of the day, do not trust you guys. And that's the way it is.
So the intricacies, the politics.
It's all this weird inside baseball.
Oh my word.
What about
don't forget how fringe Luna and these guys are? Like, Burleson on this issue gets a little professorial, and like it's really interesting hearing his thoughts on it because he is religious, and so like he'll wax poetic and stuff. And like I studied philosophy and religion in my undergrad, so like it's been interesting and fun seeing him go like real deep. That's not the case with some of these other members.
Well, let me ask you about. Can I ask you about
depth there? Yeah,
I'm curious about Rubio because I feel like Rubio's in line for the to run for president very soon. He's probably going to be running in the Republican primary, right? I mean, that's
soon. I thought he already launched it.
Did he?
I thought he launched his Cuba campaign.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I saw Scott Galloway this morning clip on his podcast where he was talking about Tucker Carlson. He was like, Tucker's going to probably run. And so it got me thinking, because Tucker takes it very seriously. He's talked about it on his show a million times. It's getting millions of views, right? And then, but there was this series of interviews with Rubio a couple of years ago where he was commenting on this, and they've been cited in a few documentaries. What's your sense of him as going forward, and how does this, like, is this going to stay at the presidential level, or was this all just kind of a sideshow with Trump and Obama?
Rubio's really one of the hardest to peg down, because if you remember at the start, when Grush, when the debrief broke that news with their exclusive with Grush, UFO whistleblower, boom, and he's got receipts. Who do I go to? Boom, Marco Rubio, who I've covered for more than a decade for Miami Public Radio. And I'm like, yo, what's up? And what he told me, this almost verbatim, but he goes, we get these whistleblowers all the time. He goes, David Grush, that's the first one the Inspector General earmarked, like sent to the Senate Intel. That's like high probability and like expedited it. So like that went to the top of their stacks. And so it seems like they, or at least like the higher up staffers on Senate Intel, sat down with Grush I don't think Rubio and Warner were there. And so that's what I've been trying to figure out. Like, where did Rubio, like, not cool on the issue, but like, where did he either get answers? Because, like, he never publicly answered, like, hey, I've been satisfied.
Right.
And so, and it just has felt like, and maybe he was vying for Secretary of State. And so he just naturally shied away from this issue. But like, it was funny because, you know, for years I covered cannabis for like Playboy, Rolling Stone, Vice. And so for years, Rubio would be like, Laslo, are you going to ask me a pot question? You know, and the whole press corps cracks up. Well, when I started covering the UFO issue, then I'm like in an elevator with Rubio and he goes, don't you have a pot question for me? Because you need like anything but talking about this stuff.
Oh, that's
so
funny.
that's where I'm really intrigued on whether him, I just don't know who in this administration would be curious. I mean, because like hearing JD Vance go and be like, okay, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, we're tracking. And then demons? I mean, what's fuck Bible you reading?
Well, that's
the version I got,
right.
bro.
Yeah, 100%. This exactly right. So a few weeks ago, we had Barack Obama goes on that podcast, which had like 6 million plus subscribers, and he says, "Yeah, aliens are real, but they're not at Area 51 or whatever he said." Yeah. And then it was within, I think, less than 72 hours, President Trump had to react to that, and he says, "Oh, well, that's classified. He shouldn't be talking about that," which kind of sounded like a tacit endorsement of that statement, aliens are real. Then within, I think, the next week or two, Hillary Clinton's at her deposition and she's in the room, I think, with Burleson and Luna, and they ask her about Gilgamesh. I don't know what that was all about. And then the UFO thing, and she doesn't even blink. She's like, yeah, well, yeah, this is something that we were looking at. And
it's pronounced Gilgamesh.
Gilgamesh.
Really?
Gilgamesh.
People forget about 2016. Hillary had promised, it was in very Clinton-esque words, so cloaked in mystery and lies, but she had kind of promised on the trail that she was going to investigate this, open up the books, and then Trump closed the book on her.
I'm just thinking, like you just said, JD Vance, right? We know Rubio has expressed some concerns here. He's expressed some, attention to this. He's paid attention to it.
Dude, but I would say this, like, it's in their relation to the White House.
Sure.
Like, Rubio gets a little more quiet because he's like, oh, I'm 6 steps closer to being in the Oval Office myself. So, like, I just view a lot of that as just politics. I do say good job, Benny Johnson, for, like, asking these folks about it. Because, yeah, he's got a big platform. And so, like, it's honestly, it's so good for me and Joe, it's like Khalil at News Nation, and I guess now Ross Coulthard, he's got a producer who's now like full time. Yeah,
Rob Jones.
Yeah, and so is there another reporter? Well, so that's like a handful of it, but it's great because like all last year, for the past 2 years, it's just been me going up to the same lawmakers with kind of the same questions because they haven't really moved the ball. And so it was just like breaking news anytime I asked a question. So like I do welcome the competition. Just be competition. Don't spread their lies, Benny. In this issue, you say lawmakers said. You don't say lawmakers confirmed, because I interview 535 liars for a living.
I want to open it up to some wider topics, but just before I do, just one last question for you. Do you think that this stays at a presidential level? Like if we get into another debate, is this going to be a question that's asked on a debate stage in a serious way? Do you think it's reached that point?
Dude, what a shame that Chris Christie got that question.
I know.
2024 primary?
Yeah.
Because he just like made a joke about it, blah, blah, blah. Well, like, bro, fast forward a year or whatever, like your state was invaded by drones that hovered over munitions depots, that hovered over the former and now current president's estate. And yet that Fox News host just like gave Christie a pass because he made a funny joke. I'm like, guys, can we get back to talking about the balloon that invaded U.S. airspace? Even though we drop about $1 trillion a year on our military, like, can we talk about how we don't have control of our airspace and how all these sensitive Air Force bases, one of the latest is Barksdale down in Louisiana, but we had Langley in Virginia, which is via F-22 Raptor. Langley is 30 minutes outside of DC. So like that is a part of the defense of Washington. And they had to move that entire fleet of 5th generation fighter jets because they had no air control for 17 days. And those lawmakers still don't have answers as to what shut down that airspace. Same with Luke Air Force Base, the Barry Goldwater Range in Arizona, ... And so like you guys know what the Air Force's solution was to the 17-day Langley shutdown? They bought nets. So now our billions and billions of dollars in F-22 Raptors are covered in nets. That's what you get for $1 trillion, y'all.
What are the nets for?
Nets.
Drone nets.
Dude, but then literally I'm watching our airstrikes in Iran, and some of them are crazy because you can like camera angles over here and you like see something in the garage and we don't blow up the garage. We just boom, target that. And I'm like, guys, I don't think the nets are going to work.
Did you guys see there was a clip of someone doing some intel analysis of some satellite photos they got from a civilian. I forget which satellite it was, but the Iranians took out an AWACS jet with a fucking $500 or whatever it was, $50,000 drone. They just hit it right on the runway and torched this thing. And those are about $1 billion a piece, I guess. I don't know what they cost, but it's a lot. I'm with you on the defense spending. It's ridiculous. And then they were just asking this year, they were talking about floating the idea of a $1.4 trillion budget.
Yeah. Now they're basically going to get that in some roundabout ways. But like, that's kind of the most fascinating thing. And like, if you
where are all our fiscal conservatives? That's what I want to know. Where's all my fiscal conservative guys?
Amen.
We've cut food, lunch for poor kids. Where's Elon? Is he going to come in and do that to the Defense Department budget? I want to know.
But I'm like, a handful of my gay buddies will give up some of their rights if you balance the fucking budget. But no, you can't balance the budget and you're in their bedroom. Like, come on, get out of here.
I want to talk about this Amy Escridge story. Do you have any thoughts on that? It's been blowing up lately. It's made its way from the corners of the internet to, it looks like Fox News and CNN. I think was the last place I saw it. What do you think about this?
What happened? Fill me in briefly.
Amy Escridge, the researcher in Huntsville, Alabama, who did work for NASA. She started this organization called the Institute for Exotic Science. And she came forward in a video called, have you heard this? She said that she had worked, she was aware of multiple scientists who had worked for NASA that had independently worked on anti-gravity technology of one kind or another, and that NASA deliberately shut down those projects and melted down their prototypes. She said they were basically hiding technology. They were like a honey trap for scientists that would work on this, and they just killed the project. And so she started Institute for Exotic Science, and they were going to gather all these researchers together and go get a generous billionaire to fund them in private commercial development. And then she died in what apparently was a self-inflicted gunshot wound, according to the news reports. But she met with Lou Elizondo, apparently, according to Lou put a video out yesterday. And in 2019, they met, and she told him about the work she was doing with her father, who worked at NASA. And she said that she felt like she was on a target list. She was pretty fearful of her own life.
You guys are making me nervous now. I got something rocking this at the Capitol.
Oh my God.
Everyone hates the media. So you see, I have a film crew.
When'd you fly?
You know what's crazy? I can't even wear this at the Capitol.
You
They won't
can't?
let us bring him in. And I'm like, guys, death threats on members are up like 10,000%, like literally. And I'm like, do you know how many parades I've walked in with these members in 20 years? I'm like, what I need is a neck guard.
By the way, real quick for everyone at home, the website is askapolpolitics.com. That's Matt's website. You can go there. And that's the best site?
This is Askapol UAP.
askapolUAP.com.
But feel free and follow the politics one too. That's where you get AOC
and the pot
Raskin.
one too. And the pot one too.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. So the military contracting angle hasn't really come up this year, but that's where you get AOC, Jamie Raskin, who like led one of the Trump impeachments. He's now like the top Dem on the Judiciary Committee in the House. He gets really engaged, and so does AOC when it becomes the military industrial complex question. And so I think that's where the relative like legislative youth of the UAP caucus, they're not playing that 5-dimensional chess because like, yeah, it's AOC and you guys are far right and blah, blah, blah. She's the enemy. It's like, guys, nothing made Matt Gaetz happier than when I was a Rolling Stone correspondent and dropped a headline with AOC and Gaetz team up on like cannabis legalization or team up on psychedelics, because like that's when Gaetz would be like texting me like a little fucking kid all night, like, yo, look at this AOC retweeted. I'm like, bro, put it in your freaking pants, man. And so like, I don't think these UAP caucus members have really like tapped into the power of this issue. If anything, they've kind of alienated some key allies or folks who could be key allies.
You're talking about in terms of just being more vocal about the ridiculous defense budget and like attacking it on that basis?
Well, yeah, but I mean, I think a month ago or whatever, I was pushing Vice Chair, Senate Intel Vice Chair Warner and some others on, because remember, like when that balloon got in U.S. airspace, around that time, there's this huge debate about overclassification. And so Mark Warner, a Dem, had teamed up with Texas Republican John Cornyn, and they even introduced a bill to like, because I guess around DC, there's just like warehouses and warehouses of like physical paper that because of like the Presidential Recordings Act, I forget the Presidential Records Act, they literally just have, they can't destroy these records, but they, according to what Cornyn and Warner say, like probably half of them shouldn't be classified, if not 75% of them. It's just going through and actually like putting some money into digitizing it and declassifying. And so the way FOIA, the Freedom of Information Act, is written, for one, F you Congress, because they excluded themselves from the act. It's just the executive branch. But FOIA does not extend, from what Warner and them tell me, they do not think it extends to the military contractors. So if there was a Pentagon legacy program that they wanted to hide from future presidents, from Congress, where's the easiest, smartest place to tuck it? Inside of Lockheed Martin, inside of ... And so the fact that they haven't even like updated laws to look there, I mean, because when I talk to someone like Andre Carson, who's second most powerful Dem on the House Intel Committee, he's right behind Jim Himes, so like he's probably going to be chair of the committee one day if Dems take over in the next few years. And he's also the one who chaired the 2022 UFO hearing, the first one in 50 years. And whenever I ask him about it, he's always like, hey, or for one, he's an intel guy. He worked for Homeland Security in Indiana. So every time I'm done interviewing him, I'm like, wait, he just got information from me. I got nothing from him. And he's like, what are you hearing on the issue? But Carson's always like, I get nervous about the UAP caucus having these big public hearings. He's like, because our adversaries are always listening. He doesn't connect the dots for me, but that makes me think he thinks it's more military contractors.
Can Congress even exercise any oversight on military contractors, like in any meaningful way? Like, what could you do? What is the, if you were to find out that trail goes to Lockheed Martin, then what does Burleson's office do about that?
Dude, 535 lawmakers, like yesterday, should pass a bill, for one, putting them under FOIA, but knowing that they won't do that, that literally says, okay, any American who we need testimony from, if you lie to us and we prove it, you go to jail. You know, the fact that people can sit in front of Congress and not have to take the fifth, but just like lie to them with no repercussions. Like I was there for the baseball like steroid hearings, and you just had all these ball players just sitting there just lying in Congress's face with their huge, like, roided out, ripped muscles. And it's like, no, we never took anything. Like, oh, really, Sammy Sosa? That Cubs. But it's like, no. Congress has just made themselves useless laughing stocks. And it's like, part of me hopes and just like keeps praying, especially like with these, the way we're seeing all this Epstein stuff and like members going after other members for being rapey or raping Hill staffers. That's progress, which is insane. I'm like, I come from the castration camp.
You seem
you
pretty,
want to get
pretty
rapey?
jaded.
I get snippy.
You seem pretty jaded about the whole thing. It seems like you've been there long enough to know better than the rest of us.
But like Congressman Luna and Mace have like stood up to their party, but taken on even powerful members of their own party. MTG left Congress for protecting girls from rape. Like, it's insane. And so, like, the fact that there's been this, like, sea change on something that you wouldn't even think you would need the sea change on. I'm like, lawmakers, I hope, especially with that young, like, Tea Party or MAGA energy, like, come on, blow things up. Extend FOIA to all of Congress, because for one, right now you can like burn your documents, but you're going after Pelosi's, you know?
Yeah.
So that's where these members, I'm like, I hope they really like upend things. Perfect start would be changing classification and literally saying, okay, military industrial complex, let alone AI industrial complex. Like, if you guys want federal money, like, we own your docks, you know,
have some kind of oversight. Yeah. Matt, we got to switch it up and move on to something else here. But do you want to stick around and hang out?
Bounce in a minute or two.
You sure?
Run.
Oh man,
get my hair chopped.
Well, guys at home, go to askapoluaps.com and subscribe, and then you can find Matt on Substack as well. Can they link to that through your Ask a Pol's UAPs? Is that right?
Yeah, our Substack is or Ask a Poll is based on Substack. Even though
it's all through.
I'm not totally wed to Substack. I don't know what the heck they're doing with Polymarket and this stuff. Makes me nervous.
Yeah, that's
so if you are dubious of Substack, so am I.
Well, go there, follow Matt, and follow his work in DC as he continues to cover this. Thank you so much, Matt. This has been awesome.
Send me questions. Like, people are always like, man, you ask brilliant questions. I'm like, I didn't get those from a posse.
I've got one for you to make them, especially Luna, Burchett, and Burleson, because nobody has asked them publicly if they also align with the ideas, for example, of Pete Hegseth and others, that this is an apocalyptic kind of thing, this whole UFO thing. And I just want to know how much religion fundamentalism is affecting their decision-making skills when it comes to this.
You want Matt to ask Luna, how much is religion affecting your job right now?
bro.
Really?
Yep.
As as I told Josh
I
Hawley,
love it.
I saw the light and it was dark. But in a past life, I have given sermons and I studied to be a pastor in Marjorie Taylor Greene's district. So I love waxing all philosophical with these Bible thumpers who literally don't know shit about the Bible, which just makes me crack up. Because I've read more theology than most pastors have. That's what happens when you take like homeless cokehead and introduce them to religion. It's stay up reading and stuff.
When the next
So,
beef
like,
kicks off with Luna,
Well,
you've got
well,
Pavel
so
to
that's where-
blame.
Oh my God.
Well, that's where with these members, it's so funny because even like hearing JD Vance, I was just like, okay, so you don't really know shit about the Bible. But so I do. Wait for it. I got a gift for you because I asked Luna about Vance and the demons.
You can blame me, bro. I don't care.
Book of Enoch.
No, man. I
There
like
goes
being an
the
asshole.
visa, Pavel. There goes the visa.
There it goes. It happened right here.
All right, y'all.
We'll let you get out of here. Thanks, Matt. This has been awesome.
Thank you. This was great. Let's do it again.
Please come back again. Yeah, we will reach out and let's do this. We'll follow up.
Love you, Matt.
Appreciate y'all.
Awesome.
Cheers. Love.
Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Laslo, Askapol, right there in the flesh.
Sorry, I love how sort of just tapped in to he's really, I hate the phrase boots on the ground because it's so cliche, but he is literally like the only boots on the ground we've got right now.
And he's doing yeoman's work. Like it's like drinking from a fire hose to ask him a question because he has just so much insight from every angle. He's talking to all these people. I mean, that's what's so valuable about his perspective. He's got, it's not like you or I might have a chance to ask one question one time of somebody, but if you can be there all the time and just talk to everybody every day, just to get that view, that 30,000 foot view, it's awesome.
Yep.
Can we talk about this Lou Elizondo thing? Because I feel like this is a big spicy meatball.
Yes.
So you've seen the extended. I haven't seen the full thing. So if you have like any clips lined up, I saw the start where he talked about one whistleblower who may have passed away in suspicious circumstances.
And the most recent video that starts at 6:03 minutes.
Oh, we can go. Let's start there, and then he's going to roll from this into Amy Escridge, and then that goes for like another 3 minutes. And this is the whole video is 22 minutes. It's an update from Lou, but he posted this yesterday, and I think it's worth watching because he does have a response to the Amy Escridge story. So let's take a look.
The government that don't want us talking and don't want having this conversation about disclosure. What you don't know yet is that there may be two additional individuals. One that Chris Mellon knew. I won't go into detail. That's his story to tell. But an engineer who apparently had worked on the legacy program was going to come forward. And a few days before Chris Mellon was supposed to meet him, he met an untimely end. I don't know the details surrounding his death, but he died. It might have been a heart attack, but I could be wrong. Then there's another individual, and I'm going to save his name to protect the privacy of his family, but he was a senior Department of Energy official. And this is probably in the 2023 timeframe. I'd been talking to him for some time, and he was willing to come out and talk to Congress, particularly Marco Rubio, about what he experienced regarding UAP in the Department of Energy. He was a very, very senior special agent at the time. If you do enough research, you'll probably figure out who it is. But out of respect for his family, I don't want to say his name right now, but I will provide those names to law enforcement and Congress if asked. This is an individual who was ready to come forward and provide some detailed conversation and information about DOE's efforts in the legacy program. His spouse is, I'll just say, a medical practitioner out here in this area. And she came home and she found her husband dead on the couch, on the sofa. He allegedly had died from COVID complications, but speaking to his spouse, he seemed okay the morning that she left. He was just sitting there watching TV, I guess. And yeah, he's dead as well. So, you know, is it really COVID complications? It could be, but also maybe not. And I think it's important to recognize that, you know, the media is covering 11 people now, but it might be more, a lot more. You know, I'll tell you, as far as the story regarding Amy Escridge, I had the privilege of meeting her back in Huntsville, Alabama, back in around, I think it was maybe 2019 timeframe, 2018, 2019. And her and her father had been working on a project, apparently that involved anti-gravitics. She did provide me and a couple of my colleagues a briefing on it. I am not an anti-gravitics expert, so I really don't know what to say much about it, but whether it was legitimate or not, she did complain that she was on a quote-unquote target list. I don't know if it was the same target list that I myself and folks like Dave Grush were on, or if it was something else or someone else, but she did reveal that to us, and she did say that she was fearful for her life. Now, does that necessarily mean that something nefarious occurred? No. A lot of us have fears, and sometimes they're unsubstantiated, sometimes they're very substantiated. So I don't know. I think it's important, though, that we recognize that a lot of people are putting at stake a lot here to have conversations like this. I am pleased to see that Congress is becoming more and more engaged. People like Anna Paulina Luna and Representative Burchett and Burleson are still working very diligently behind the scenes on this topic, and for that I applaud them.
Okay, we can. That's about as far as we need to go. Thoughts, feelings?
I just have one question. Why do you think there's like Amy saying things about Hal and Lou and making accusations like that? Because she's very clearly in that interview where she was like speaking more openly, more loosely.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think that comes from? Because that I'm very curious about that, and asking
the
both
evil
Lou
thing?
asking both Lou and Hal about that. I'm very curious about that, and I know this is a hot topic, you know, because we sort of discussed some of this before, but I'm just very curious of what made her say that, if she was really going through a rough time because of all the paranoia, or if there really was something to that, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a big question for me. What she was very animated and clear about that, and she repeated it a couple of times. And you know, everybody, we're all, you know, when you drink too much, everybody's guilty of maybe being a little too enthusiastic or too energized from time to time. But she seemed like she was really trying to say something there, clearly. And I think that's what I took away from that whole video, was like, this is a woman who clearly is dealing with a lot. She's clearly under a tremendous amount of stress. What the cause is, you know, I don't know her. I don't know. But I know what she's saying, and she's clearly wants people to know this information. And that was the whole point of having that conversation in the first place, was like talking about how could we disclose what I know and how that would go down. I don't know, but as to what to make of it, I don't have the clip ready here, but there is a clip of her saying like Hal Puthoff is evil, straight up.
Yeah.
And Lou Elizondo too. And I assume that's why Lou responded to this story, because he's mentioned directly by Amy in that video. And she says, she recounts that meeting. She's like, I met with Lou, and he told me that the government could pay you a lot of money to keep this technology away from the Chinese. And then she goes, okay, well, please, can you arrange that meeting for me? And she said that at that point he went radio silent, and that was the last conversation they had, which was very interesting.
And then Lou talking about these other people that passed away at the beginning of the clip. There's a clip that I showed Sander where Mellon is talking about this in an European UFO channel that is very famous over there, Exopolitica, I think it's called. And that's the first time I ever heard of that. and I had forgotten, but I saw this tweet from Astral, and I recall that I had seen this clip, and so it had already been discussed by Mellon. That one. Exo
One of the
Magazine.
stories is, one of the allegations is, and I was supposed to meet a fellow, for example, who supposedly was in one of these aerospace companies and supposedly had been directly involved in that activity. And we were about 2 weeks away from meeting when he died, when he had a heart attack. And, can't say, whether that was true or not, but that's one of the allegations. And it makes sense because if you're the government and say you recovered some debris and there were complex components and materials, right? You wanted to keep it secret, but have world-class technicians and scientists try to understand it. It would be natural that you would go to Lockheed Martin or Raytheon or Grumman or some of those companies.
Yeah. Exo Magazine. I'm sorry for the mistake. I said something else.
Real quick, just before we move on, guys, if you're watching at home, if you're playing the home game, do me a favor. We have over 1,000. We're up to 1,212 people watching the stream right now, and on the Night Shift channel, I think about 511 of you are coming in. We've only got 191 likes. Can you guys smash that like button for us? And that really helps us boost this stream and get it out to more people. And also, I want to ask everybody at home, Pavel, how close are you to the 50,000 subscriber goal, would you say?
Oh, crap. 13 subscribers away. 13.
Pavel is only 13 subscribers away from 50,000. Can we all go over to, just open a window, go to Pavel's channel, Psicoactivo, and please subscribe. You might be the lucky 13th person to kick him over the 50,000 subscriber mark. And if you are, maybe there's a prize. I don't know. Can we do a prize? We have to figure out who that person is.
I do have a bunch of t-shirts, What's Up Human t-shirts that I can send somebody to their home. So maybe we can work something out.
But while we're at it as well, I'm only 27,500 subscriptions away from 50,000. So if you wouldn't mind,
forward this on to your next 100 closest friends. Let's get Xander the 50K club.
No, seriously, that's amazing, Pavel. You're going to hit it before the end of the night. That's amazing. It's been a long time coming. So for people who may not know this, I just maybe a quick sidebar here. But if you're curious how it works and the YouTube ecosystem and for creators that are kind of doing this type of work, those numbers do matter because they really do make a difference in how YouTube presents you to other people. And so when you get past 50K, it almost kind of kicks you into a new category, and it's like a bracket system. And then you kind of your channel grows even more. So you'll see sometimes channels will start out slow and then they hit this ramp, and that's where our friend Pavel is. So we really want to see him. I want to see you get to 100K by the end of the year, man.
I'm 4 away now, so thank you.
4 away. All right, guys. We only need 5 more people.
Crazy. 3. Yeah, it's. I think it's happening.
I know you don't get a plaque for 50,000, but I'll send you one. I'll bring it. I'll bring it to California.
You can print out. It's like that employee of the month.
Yeah, there you go.
Hang in the break room.
I'm only allowed like 10 kilos on the plane, so I'll something lightweight if you don't mind. Yeah.
Oh man, thank you.
So,
guys.
What do you guys think about the Chris Mellon clip? What do you make of that, Pavel?
Well, I think that because of how tense everything is right now and how everybody is like looking over their shoulders in many ways, I spoke to somebody recently who has been like harassed by Blackhawks, but nothing too like, oh, it's a mile away or like 200 meters away. No, I'm talking like 50 yards away, like shit like that. And I'm being serious. I'm not like being facetious or anything. That shit happened. So because of that, I think that people are starting to come forward a little bit more, and I think that the best way to keep people safe is by being public about this stuff and by making it known that, people are like weary of whatever may happen because of them coming forward. I just saw a video from Dr. Gregory Rogers, the NASA guy.
That's the guy, Greg Rogers. Thank you.
Yeah. He was like, I'm not, I don't want to, I like myself, like stuff like that. And there's a lot of people like that right now saying the same thing. And I just don't like gaslighting, it really sucks that very clearly something is happening. People are very clearly afraid, and there's like folks mocking that and saying, oh, people die every day. And it's like, dude, that's insulting to people's intelligence, because something clearly is going on, and you can't just go and insult people's inquiry, like curiosity and fear. There is fear in the air. I don't know if you guys agree, but yeah,
In terms of the threat to researchers?
yeah, and like whistleblowers and
Yeah.
yeah,
I agree that the sorry, Clint,
Go ahead, Xander. Go ahead.
I said before we went live today, I want to play devil's advocate for a number of reasons, because the whole like Carl Sagan, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence kind of thing, and I know this isn't a scientific topic, but the implications that we allege do carry more weight with them. If we're trying to connect these deaths and disappearances together, we better be fucking sure that we're making solid connections when we do, purely because there are real people involved, and I'm not at this point even thinking about the people that have died or disappeared. I'm thinking about the families more than anything, because the last thing I want is for, some of Escridge's family to think that we're pushing an agenda that they don't disagree with. Like the idea is that we feel there are questions that should be answered, rather than we're alleging anything specifically. So when I see the FBI saying we're going to look into this, I think that's a great idea. I really do think that's a good idea. Having said that, we do find ourselves in a slightly unique position. I'm sure this probably has a name, but there's like there's a theory surrounding like big world. So we have a lot of people on planet Earth. It's 8 billion at this point, and now we're all connected. Every single one of us within about somebody said like 6 degrees of separation. I can find anybody else on the planet that is connected to the internet. So if we go looking for connections, we will find them, because there are so many people that rareness happens all the time, and we are all connected to each other via the internet. So if we find if we look for those connections, we absolutely will find them every time. And this is a new phenomenon, really, because the population has really exploded in the last 100 years.
Can I be clear about something? Because
Please.
I think this needs to be currently where I sit with this whole situation is that, probably a lot of those deaths were accidents, a lot of those, but there is a little small number of them, and the missing people that are connected. And another part of those were working at the highest level of their field in edge science. So where I stand right now is because yesterday I did a video of China also having a similar problem for the last 2 or 3 years. So where I stand on it right now is that the only UFO connection there is to this is McCaslin. That's the only one. But I think this is a giant edge science iceberg problem, and UFOs is just one tiny bit part of it. And I think that the gaslighting comes because people go like, oh, this has nothing to do with aliens. Why are you talking about this? None of these are connected. Maybe that's the case, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be alarmed for something that could potentially be happening. In my estimation, I think this is a war right now over edge technology breakthroughs. That's what I think is happening right now. And UFOs are slightly tied to that because edge science also has to do with propulsion and with plasma physics and asteroid signaling. And, all of those, and all of the people that are going missing and dying are working on those things. Very alarming if you put all those together, I think. But yeah, it probably doesn't have to do with just UFOs or aliens, but it has to do with something that should be of everyone's interest.
And this is not unheard. Israel assassinates Iranian scientists every day. Russia has assassinated American scientists. This happens all the time. This is just part of the cloak and dagger world of weird espionage activities that go on. To hold up progress in an area, or recruiting scientists. Xander and I were talking on our text, and I don't think you're getting much coverage of this in the UK, are you, Xander, at all?
Oh, zero. Nothing at all. I find it crazy that this is appearing on, I think you said Fox News. I've definitely seen it on Fox News, actually. This has not, as far as I'm aware, it's not hit the BBC in any sense. I think the Daily Mirror covered it, or Daily Mail, sorry. But the Daily Mail in the UK, we don't consider it something that people rely on. It's more of a magazine than anything else at this point.
Wow.
But to be clear, I'm playing devil's advocate to leave room for there to be legitimate explanation. I do agree that there is enough correlation at this point to warrant proper investigation. So I am glad that the FBI has said they're going to step up. I'm glad that the president apparently was briefed on this thing. I'm just going to say goodnight to my daughter, but feel free to carry on.
Please do. I think for my part, the thing with Escridge, her case, is that it's got all the red flags, right? It's got it's literally there is video of her giving a presentation to a room full of aerospace engineers and physicists and
all graybeards, by the way, or most of them.
Like 50 people in a room, and she's giving a presentation and she's showing the TR-3B, and she's like, this is Boeing Phantom Works. This is what they're doing. This Podletkov is working on this. If this wasn't this was her business. Her business was literally, she formed a organization called the Institute for Exotic Sciences and got $500,000+ in startup funding to get this thing off the ground. This is not a person who's just marginally related to this topic. And then she puts out this video where she goes on and on for almost over 2 hours. And she's like, look, I'm a target. NASA has been covering up anti-gravity research. Yes, that's a thing. Yes, I'm going to disclose, or I'm trying to figure out how to do that right now. Who am I going to talk to? She's thinking about all of the different press people she could reach out to and how this would all go down. There was a plan in place for her to at least move forward with some of this information, and she was actively preparing to do so. And, whatever the final outcome of a proper investigation would reveal, I guess that's, the best we can hope for. But someone should look at it, because there's no way that's not, there's no way it's not weird. I'm just not buying that.
Dude, it's entirely possible that many of these cases are not linked, but they need to be investigated simply because of the nature of the work people were doing and all the connections to JPL and NASA and Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And it needs to be investigated. If it was something different, just a little bit of a hint of smoke would garner an investigation.
This is for people who haven't seen this. Here's Amy.
Applied physics. So some of you have probably met John Brandenburg and Paul Murad. So they have this company, Morningstar, and they have what's basically a modified Searle machine. So we talked about the Searle machine a little bit earlier. Brandenburg talks about his gem theory, which is this gravido electromagnetism theory, and they claim a 7% 7% weight reduction. So you can see it's very similar to the Searle generator that we looked at earlier. It's got the rollers and they magnetically rotate and all of that, but they also, kind of the different part about this one is that there's actually a ferromagnetic fluid inside the center disc here. And I think it's actually just vegetable oil with some iron shavings in it, what I heard. But, so they claim 7% weight reduction. And then kind of the rumor that they're sort of privately claiming is they're now claiming 20% weight reduction. But I'm not so sure they're actually getting 20%. So there's, of course, the more well-known ones like Boeing Phantom Works. So this Gravity Research for Advanced Propulsion, or the GRASP program, has been around probably for a while, but they admitted to it publicly in 2014, is when they sort of admitted they had that program. I was reading there's some chatter about maybe Podletkinov being involved in this. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I was sort of hearing that. And then, so these are so Phantom Works is where you get these black triangles that people talk about sometimes. So if you're into like the UFO scene, MUFON has a lot of reports of these like black triangles that people look up and they just see like a black triangle blocking out the stars in the sky. There's a lot of reports of things like that. And that is supposedly the TR-3B black triangle. And sort of the rumor is that that's what you call an ARV, which is an alien reproduction vehicle, which is sort of like...
If that turned out to be a coincidence, that she just so happened to be so focused on this topic, I would be really surprised. I don't know.
Yeah.
What you guys think about some of these.
You know, I've heard this a couple of times already that Amy Escridge's father is considered like NASA royalty. There's so much happening at Huntsville, and so many shady things happened there. Like the most recent, or last year's SCU conference there was a lot of weird activity going on. Like I heard people's phones were hacked, and there was like a large contingent of people from Skywatcher that as soon as they entered the arena or the room, everything became just really weird and like sketchy. And it's like, if I was a betting man, which I'm not, and I would want to pinpoint locations for what GERB considers legacy programs facilities, I think that Huntsville would be one of the first places where I would bet on.
See, I would consider it as the independent area where science is getting to the point now, and this was like a part of the plot of Three Body Problem, I think. People eventually stumble across this stuff, and there are locations where the science is getting so advanced that multiple people across multiple companies will all stumble across this same level of thinking. And Huntsville, I feel like that and maybe the NASA contractors might be similar. I don't think they fit into the same wheelhouse as the big military-industrial complex guys. I feel like that these companies are stumbling across similar, let's say, unexplained effects for unexplained forces, and they very quickly start to decipher what the implications are, and it's those implications that are dangerous. Because if we discover there's another force, and we discover that it has the potential to cancel gravity out, that's anything. Let me be clear: anything related to cancelling gravity out without conventional propulsion means is world-changing technology.
That would turn us into a class 1 civilization according to Cartership scale, right?
Absolutely, it would. And that's what I feel like all of these strange disappearances, I don't think it means these people were tapped into the legacy programs. It's that they were naturally starting to brush at the door with the same ideas, because that's where science has gotten us. I don't know. Because there's killing whistleblowers, and then there's you know, all of these people that don't claim legacy knowledge, that
Yeah.
are just talking about weird things they don't understand in science.
Edge
and then-
science.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe
that's
that's
where
it,
I
don't
stand.
know.
That's
Yeah.
where I stand currently. And I'm not saying that non-human intelligence may not be real. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that multiple things might be happening and might have been happening for a long time. But the whole aerospace and military industrial complex story since the 40s, that has been prevalent. And I think that should also be paid attention to. And ironically, that's the part that gets you in the most danger, I think, because it's war things, you know, like.
Can I share this clip, guys? You were talking about if another force was discovered. Bob Lazar mentioned in the S4, the Bob Lazar story by our friend Luigi Vintelli and the guys over at Project Gravatar. In that film, Bob Lazar talked about how the gravity generator might not be gravity. It might not be actually generating or affecting gravity. It might be some other force that we just don't understand. And he made a really interesting point there. Here's a clip from this interview where Amy, addresses that very question. And I think this will be interesting for people to see.
That's like much more advanced stuff than what we're going to be capable of doing right now.
Jeremy, are you aware that there are 8 forces of nature? 8. I can name them. Would you like me to name them? The 4 and gravity. The 5th is arguably, contentiously, the Higgs force from the Higgs boson, which who the fuck cares? I don't. And then number 6, number 6 is anti-gravity. The 6th force is anti-gravity. That's what my group has a mathematical equation to physically describe. We have 6th force on lockdown. And then 7th force is basically energy into matter into energy, which sounds like what? A portal, man. If you can energy, matter, you can like download yourself into a new whatever through a portal.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah. Diarectal, how do you spell that? Let me Google that.
Anyway, 6th Force on lockdown.
I find that stuff so hard to watch, I'll be honest. But regardless of what Amy's condition was at the time of that interview, but how often have we been right when we've said that we understand everything? Like never. So
yeah,
we know that I think we account everything that we can physically measure accounts for 5% of the total mass of the universe. So it doesn't take a genius at this point to think that there might be some stuff we don't get. You know?
I want to talk about this, guys. I want to stick to our 2-hour time limit for today, but we lost David Wilcock this week, and it was kind of a big news story. You guys have any thoughts on this? You want to respond to this?
Pavel?
I feel horrible for his family, first of all. I had seen a couple of streams of him because when I growing up, like the very first memories that I have of watching like history channels or anything to do about aliens, David was there. And it was very evident that he was one of the most known faces in ufology. And I knew this even before I got interested in ufology at all. And but when I got into the space and I started getting to know a little bit more about the whole UFO-tainment aspect of ufology, I understood a lot more. And I understood that in 2017 something happened, which is that when the New York Times article came out, there was like an official or semi-official confirmation from parts of the government that this was a thing. And that inevitably started affecting and is still affecting and will continue affecting the UFO-tainment sphere, because there's a lot of stuff that has been shown in those shows that has zero basis, like and none of it is like, or a lot of it is not proven really. It's just speculation and theories, which is fine though. Like it's entertainment. I get it. But I quickly realized how like the differences between small channels like us that were trying to cover this in like a more curious and honest way, I guess, and the UFOtainment division that has had a hold of the industry in ufology for many years.
And specifically, are you like, what's an example of UFOtainment for people who don't understand?
For me, Gaia,
Gaia.
The History Channel, Ancient Aliens, all of that
Our next
stuff.
topic. Our next topic is so infotainment, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
So alongside that, a lot of these personalities that started, you know, becoming wildly famous, along that fame and that money, there always comes like mental health problems because not everybody can deal with that kind of stuff. And when I saw David, especially recently, like over the last few months, I saw a couple of clips of him, and it's very evident that he wasn't going through a good time, right? Because he had many issues with different things that he was a part of. And you know, when I see somebody like that is going through a rough time like that, I don't go and attack them and just kick them. My idea is to, if I see somebody like that who's going through mental health problems and is involved in something like this, I would want to try and help them instead of criticizing them more and making them get lost in that void more. Because it is a void. It becomes a void eventually. And there's a lot of people that go through this, and especially in ufology. And there's something that I get angry about because they lump everybody who talks about UFOs to the mental health category. And the naysayers and deniers always go like, it's a mental health issue. Everybody has it. That's not true. Although it is real. There is a lot of that. But not everybody's like that. And what I want to say, just I feel sorry for his family. It was really horrible that during the final moments, he was very clearly really alone, and it really bummed me out when I heard the news. Because yeah, we shouldn't go through that. If you see somebody who needs help, extend a hand. Don't be an asshole. Don't kick them down while they're already in the floor. You know. That's all I gotta say about that. You know.
What about you, Clint? You haven't said nothing about this.
For David, I don't know enough about David's work to have an opinion on the work one way or another. But what I do know a little bit about is, you know, struggling with anxiety, struggling with depression, struggling with mental health, and trying to figure out how to get through a day when you just don't feel like that's physically possible. And I think that a lot more people feel that than we probably realize. And I think everybody is fighting an invisible battle, you know, like that's the thing I would say is like, just realize in your day when you're going about your business that the person you deal with at the grocery store or the person you meet at the post office or wherever you're at, or whatever you're doing, like, you know, what you're seeing is the best they can do, you know, in that moment. But it's often a lot of work and a lot of difficulty for people to pull their shit together and get up and get out the door. I used to have days where I was so stricken with anxiety that I would put my hand on the doorknob to my apartment and I couldn't turn the doorknob. And I would just sit in my apartment for 12 hours. I literally could not go outside. And it wasn't until years later where I figured out, I didn't even know what was wrong with me. I just thought I was, you know, I knew something was wrong with me. I couldn't figure out what it was. And then it wasn't until years later that I talked to somebody and I got diagnosed and I got some, you know, help with that. And it changed my life. So it's not about me, but I'm just saying this because the struggle is fucking real, and it's a weird, crazy world out there. And when you fall into one of those holes and you're in it for a while, and you feel like the world is wrong, something's wrong with the whole world. You know, at least that was my sense. And I didn't realize it was, you know, coming from within. So just be patient with people. Try to have a little grace with people. Try to give them a little leeway. Understand that it's not just, you and me. It's everybody. We're all dealing with stuff. And I don't know. Let's try to be better humans to each other. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
For what it's worth.
Better. Yeah.
Rest in peace, David. Rest in peace, David.
As I was saying, well, as you were saying, Pavel, we aren't infotainment here at Night Shift. But let's crank up the Doomer Friday, and talk about Sam Altman creating portals to summon a Sumerian god. How's that? I can't
load this article on my side. Xander, can you share this?
I've got it ready. Yeah.
I don't know.
I got the clip, and it's just like the first 6 seconds of the clip. Should I send it to you?
From Ronan.
Yeah.
Let's watch that clip.
I've got it.
You got it? Okay, cool.
Should we? Should we share what should we share first? We've got Sam Altman, the clip. We've got the article, which is archived. We've got something else that I probably want to share afterwards that you've already touched upon, Pavel. So let's share the article first.
Yeah.
Because it's the most in-depth thing.
Yeah.
So here we go. So this was written by Ronan Farrow, who he's a big guy, as far as I'm aware.
I'll say.
Quite reputable. So I need to be clear, and the mainstream view on this this part of the story is that it's metaphorical. I get that.
Yep.
But to quote, I don't know if can you guys read that? Should I zoom in a little bit more?
I can read it now. Yeah, a little. There you go. What does it say? You want me to read from the top?
No, it's
a big long article, and everyone should really read
quote,
it.
I'll read it. Quote, "The truth is we're building portals from which we're genuinely summoning aliens," a former OpenAI executive said. "The portals currently exist in the United States and China, and Sam has added one in the Middle East." He went on, "I think it's just like wildly important to get how scary that should be. It's the most reckless thing that's been done."
What do you guys
that a metaphor?
So, to be clear, there's a Google executive who's no longer at Google, who left Google, and there's been a bunch of these people that have left AI companies because they don't feel like their morals align with them. This is one of those guys. And he was on LinkedIn a few months ago saying that they're discovering a non-human intelligence. That's the language that he used. So that's the way I think they see it. Like, it's not necessarily aliens, but it is an intelligence that eventually is going to be superior to humans. And it is technically a non-human intelligence. And when it comes to those portals, I think that he means the whole, facilities where all of this data is like
the data centers.
Yes, I think that's what they mean. That's what I got from it, at least.
That's what I got.
That's the sense that I have from reading the articles. And yeah, there's also him, Farrow himself. I'll share this. Just briefly mentioning the same thing.
This kind of AI capacity is shaping the balance of power between nations and all of our security. One former OpenAI executive said, quote, "We're building portals from which we're genuinely summoning aliens. The portals currently exist in the United States and China, and Sam has added one in the Middle East. It's just like wildly important to get how scary that should be." This kind of AI...
That's crazy.
Ronan.
If it's to be taken literally, then it's crazy. But he doesn't react that way, obviously. He doesn't seem to react that way.
If you follow the transhumanism movement is like deeply embedded in Silicon Valley, and a lot of these guys there's another layer to this that is outside of the public discourse, which is this whole idea of we're going to create a god. At the top level, that's really what these guys think they're doing. Elon has said as much. He called it summoning the demon specifically, and that was back in like 2016. Sam Altman,
Why does everyone say it like that, though? Why don't they say, like, summoning an angel?
And then you have...
No, it's a demon.
And then you have Tim Dillon saying that they're summoning an ancient Sumerian deity or something like that.
The concern is that it's, as soon as you create something smarter than you there is no world where you maintain control. It doesn't. Nope. It's game theory. You cannot control something smarter than you. So it's over. And I think that's the concern, is like, well, we're creating something smarter than us that we are going to plug in to a completely networked world filled with killer drones piloted by artificial intelligence, killer robots, humanoid robots running all our factories, walking around on the street, delivering your fucking Quiznos sub. All of this is going to be plugged into the network. And I don't think people really appreciate how vulnerable all of this stuff is to a super intelligent AI. Anthropic's new model, Mythos.
That was stolen, by the way.
So powerful that they are literally like, it's like a magic button for hacking. And they gave it to the government first. They gave it to Apple and Google and a few other places. Like, that's how dangerous. And that's today's model. So yeah, it is, in a sense, it's a demon. It's something that we're going to have to reckon with one way or the other. And I think what scares me is that you have people like Altman and Musk and, the Dario Amodei and all of these different AI founders, and they are unilaterally making decisions about how all this shit gets deployed and what the safety mile markers are and how we're going to govern it. There's no regulation. There's no discussion in Congress. There's zero fucking education amongst the members of Congress or the various committees that oversee this to even look at this. And the administration has gotten hundreds of millions of dollars from the tech sector, and it doesn't look like that's going to change anytime soon. So, we are careening towards a world where the average P-doom from these guys is like 50%. How much is too much for you? If you got on an airplane and they were like, there's a 10% chance this crashes and kills everybody, would you get on that plane? So we're going to this world where they want to compete to see who can create the super AI first, because they somehow, I guess that means that they are going to be able to defend themselves or control.
They're hoping that the AI is going to be grateful to whoever created it, basically. So it's like it's going to remain loyal to the US because the US created it. I don't know. I'm dubious about that personally. I don't think the AI is going to think in terms like that.
Dan says to check Signal. I don't know what's going on.
I shall.
By the way, Wes Decker, thank you for the super duper chat. You are awesome, in support of all of us, me included, working on being better to each other. We are all in this together. Thank you for that.
Okay, so Dan wants me to play a Signal message. I don't know if I've not even listened to this, so let me just download it quickly. I will also have to upload it quickly, actually no, I won't be able to. I'll be able to play this in like 1 second if you give me a sec. This is Dan coming all the way from Thailand to deliver this to us.
Dan is in Thailand?
Is he with his stunt coordinator?
Say what?
Okay, I've got it ready.
Dan,
the
world traveler,
of modern technology. The fact that I can just...
We've got a remote satellite link from Thailand. Dan Cleary is joining us live.
In voice only. I don't know what this is, so we'll just have to...
We're patching him through right now.
Oh my.
Here it is. Let's have a listen. 51 seconds long. I'll zoom in on the 51 seconds.
Hey buddy, play this on the air if you don't mind.
Oh boy.
You're talking about the Sam Altman and the portal stuff. Metaphorical, yeah, that's all well and good, but metaphors don't have locations. And in that, they mentioned 3 locations where Sam Altman is making portals. And also don't forget that there's been a couple reports over the last couple of years that CERN in Switzerland has opened at least one portal in some lower level of their facility, where they say at least one being has come through. And they even have the detail of like a being either left a scarf in the CERN facility or took somebody else's scarf. I think it left a scarf. but just wanted to add that.
So what he's talking about is this, which is this is a real doctor, Astrid Struckelberger.
Dr. Spachemin.
I mean, it's just worth a listen. I'll just play it. Pavel, I know you know what this is, but
actually CERN is dealing with radionuclear research. But it is more than that, because there are lots of physicians, I know some, they're doing very strange experimentation. There are beings from portals coming in and out. It's physicists from the CERN who told me this.
They've testified to beings coming in and out of portals.
Yes, they have apparently in the bottom of the CERN this portal, this door where they are dealing with all the subatomic dimensions. They say there are 17 different dimensions of reality. That's what those physicists say. Some others say there are more dimensions, you know. And now, when you look at what is going on in the CERN, there is a fight from some of the military agencies, Intel. They say that there is a fight on time. They're trying to change time.
it always ends up with time. I looked this person up just because I didn't want to make sure I wanted to make sure I wasn't just, you know, talking about some random person coming up with a wild theory. She holds a PhD in public health, has worked with the University of Geneva, with their faculty of medicine. She's got a senior teaching role. I don't know, that qualification. So she isn't just some random person. There are multiple interviews of her. She does say that there is, if I just share this a second, this is just Google Maps. So CERN is just over here, just down here. The ring of CERN is probably like there. Like not that big really. Well, it is. It's fucking massive, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not. But she said in another interview that there is a CIA base in this lake with like, did she say like 300,000 people or something
in the lake?
I am not surprised.
Working underneath this base or in this lake. There's a base apparently in this lake.
I mean, the portal thing, this is pushing the limit of I don't know, man. I don't know what to believe about all this stuff. It sounds like she's someone who should know what she's talking about, but this is the only time I've heard that. And I haven't heard anybody else ever mention that beings are coming through the portals, except for I've seen this woman pop up before.
I have not wanted to really. I mean, I'm probably going to at some point, probably do an episode on this at Dreamland, but there's this whole other conspiracy about CERN, like the fact that they've got like, is it Shiva, the statue of Shiva outside CERN? Apparently there's like rituals that go on there. There's secret experiments. Yes, she's the same person that talked about this portal being opened and that, either the non-human intelligence gave or took a scarf off one of the scientists. It's probably as wild as it gets, but up until now, I was like, okay, there's just not enough to really talk about there, other than that interview. But then you've got this strange rhetoric about summoning demons. You've got Tim Dillon talking about summoning a Sumerian god. And it's like, are we doing like some strange cycle where the god gives birth to humans, and then we eventually create that god again via AI or something, and it's just like a never-ending cycle of craziness?
Oh man. I don't know what to make of it.
We can't deny the evident occult connection between some scientists throughout history and, you know, all this talk. And there is, like, there's always been.
You've got Luna saying, read the Book of Enoch, and you've got Matthew Brown, who is heavily into Enochian magic. You've got Dylan Borland tweeted a message saying something to do with the Watchers, which is directly from. It's the name of the first chapter in the Book of Enoch. And Enochian magic was something covered by who's the guy that invented the rocket? Not Von Braun.
Jack Parsons.
Jack Parsons. He was heavily into Enochian rituals and
Yes,
Enochian
sir.
magic. Like, where does this start and end? Like, I don't.
Any relation
weird's
to
going
Alan Parsons? Alan Parsons Project? Never mind. I'm
No
just kidding.
idea.
Yeah. What if
I feel like you're dubious here, Clint?
I'm not dubious. I just don't know. You talking to Matt actually at the top of the show was kind of refreshing, because he, his take seems to be like the left hand and the right hand aren't even fucking playing the same sport. The fingers don't know what they're doing. Like all these, the Congress, the House and the Senate, it's just people are all over the place, but they're saying shit. They're just saying, they're going on camera saying all kinds of stuff. As for portals and beings and stuff, I think what is interesting to me is maybe at the heart of it all, like the heart of the UFO question, who are these beings? Where are they coming from? What are they doing here? What if you get all the way to the center of that onion and it just turns out that the real secret is the soul survives death? The soul survives death and can carry information back through and come back around, and that the body actually is a container. And if you just imagine like previous periods in human history where we've just had to go from being like the earth is the center of the universe to, oh, it's not the center of the universe, like that adjustment. Maybe something along these lines is true. And maybe what you're seeing is like these edge science experiments are sort of pushing up against the edge of maybe the simulation or whatever you want to call this, the illusion of the world that we're in. And other things can poke through. And maybe some of these visitors that we're seeing already have that knowledge. What would a civilization look like that knew that when they physically die, they don't die, and they just literally reincarnate and come right back? Like, how would you build your society around that if you knew and you could count on it? Like, for sure.
I think that's some of the issue, is that I think it would be, I would consider it good news to find out that something continues after I die. But at the same time, it's like that film with, what's his name? Big tall dude, big tall actor. I've forgotten his name.
Which one?
It's a film where they discover, I think it might be called The Discovery, actually. Where they find out that there's life after death. Somebody will name it in the chat.
Flatliners.
I don't know. I don't think it's Flatliners.
It's Kiefer Sutherland, Kevin Bacon.
No. Is it 21 grams? No, right?
It's The Discovery. Justin has
Discovery.
confirmed.
Okay.
Yeah, they find out that death isn't the end, and then everybody starts killing themselves because they're like, well, I'm tired of this one, I'll just start it again. And then eventually they find out it's all like, well, I won't spoil it, but yeah, in a sense, although it might be reassuring news that death is not the end, how does the world continue to function? Do people think that
people are still afraid to die? It's not fun. I mean, imagine. But the reason I think of this occurred to me is just because I've been watching this channel, this Instagram channel I'm following right now called I think it's called the Coming Home channel, and it's all these NDEs. It's people who've had NDEs, and they're like, I was holding a payphone, the booth got struck by lightning, I fell out of my body, and I'm standing there looking at my body. My wife comes running at me. And then she runs right past me and goes and looks on the ground, and there's my body, and I'm looking at that, and she doesn't see me, and here I am, and I'm having this whole lucid experience. I'm seeing everything. I'm hearing it. I'm hearing the sounds. I could feel the air. Dead as a fucking doornail, but not. And standing right there. Bob Lazar, humans are containers. Containers for what? Abductions. A number of people have talked about, I felt like my soul was pulled out of my body and put into another body. I feel like I've been, they can vacuum you out and just like stick you into another.
Out-of-body experiences that people have trained themselves to do. Ramsey himself has talked about it on Night Shift.
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend talk about his own experience just last week.
By the way, everybody, someone in the chat pointed out, we've got the Area 52 trifecta going on right here, the A52 hat. Xander's rocking the Invisible College shirt, and we got a majestic hat on Pavel over here. I love that, by the way. I love the white on here. And some, what do you have there, Xander?
That's one of the little trinkets that Chris sent me with this Invisible College thing. There's not enough light here to be able to show it, but I put it in this little challenge coin case.
That's so cool.
Little thing to remember.
And can we talk real quick, the Invisible College sweatshirt that I have that's embroidered with it's got like the nicest sweatshirt I own. I own some expensive sweatshirts, but this feels like a $250 sweatshirt when you put it on. So for anybody who's interested,
I opted for the hoodie, and I'm going to bring it to California, even though I know I can't wear it a single day. I'm going to crank the aircon up and just sit there in the hoodie.
It's nice, man.
Because it's that good. But yes, I will get a Trump disclosure coin for one of these as well.
What do you get it? I'll wait until it goes on eBay and I'll get it for $1. What do you think, Xander? I mean, what's your take on the whole summoning demons Sam Altman thing?
Look,
AI.
It always comes back to that. Ask me a year and a half ago, and I'd have said no. It's all one thing, and it's quite obviously just visitors from another planet. And then, fast forward to today, and everything is now up in the air. Everything. And as much as I hate the whole religious interpretation of all of this stuff, I think it's probably about time I started to recognize that the way religion has interpreted this stuff, this is very Jacques Valléan, so I'm sorry, I'm definitely borrowing from his wheelhouse right now, but the whole way we interpret this as aliens, it's probably about time for that to change. I don't think it's a case of them coming from other planets. I think it's probably that's the scientists' wet dream about what this is. But for religious people, the angels and the demons is the wet dream for them. And I hate saying wet dream and angels. It sounds weird, but I think it's probably something that we just have no word for right now. Ultra-terrestrials might be the closest thing. Non-human intelligence is the most vague, but it's a catch-all. I think it's probably... I want to see it. Simple as that.
You want to see specifically...
I want to see a face of one of these things so I can make my own judgment.
What if some don't have a face?
Then maybe I've already seen them. I don't know.
But they're still real, Because
I think we probably have seen them. I think photos that are in circulation right now, some of them are real. And this is my whole fascination with this subject, right? It's not necessarily that there is some final answer and we're going to arrive at it, or I'm going to discover it on this channel or whatever. It's more like this is a real science fiction world that the science fiction level technology exists. It is real. There are beings that are associated with it. They interact with us. And to some extent, some level, some layer of this thing, it is very, very real. And real people have actually come into contact with this. There's more going on here than anyone understands. And to me, to be able to participate in that, it's so, how could you not want to participate? It's the most interesting thing you could ever possibly look at, whether it is aliens or demons or whatever. I mean, it's it's this frontier of understanding about it. And it's, I don't know. I just think it's the most exciting thing.
I think it's most fun to stay open-minded. I am not religious in that respect whatsoever, but I don't know if you can see that. I'm reading the Book of Enoch right now. I am reading it. It's right here. I will judge it for what it says, but this book was written 2 2,500 years after the events that it describes. So, I mean, come on, how accurate could it be? It might contain some fundamental archetypical truth of sorts, but you know, the guys that were there aren't writing this.
What about the clip of Jake Barber that's floating around this morning where he's like talking about these beings are with him right now? Like, did you just watch this whole clip, Pavel? You must have.
Yeah, I actually was
we have
just
that?
surfing on YouTube, and I found this interview of Jake speaking to an Italian YouTube channel, and I realized that nobody had covered it. So there's a part where he starts talking about how after the event where I think resonated with a lot of people, where he talks about being like engulfed in this unconditional love and all this stuff. That resonated with a lot of people. That's undeniable. There's a lot of folks that responded to that. He talks about how it changed his entire perspective and is like, he made it seem like he wants to serve it. That was a weird phrasing. That he used.
It was weird. Can we show that clip? Do we have it anywhere?
If you've got it.
Pavel, do you have it?
Yes.
Pavel did a video on it, I think. So.
It sounded, I'm so glad you caught that. It sounded so weird to me. He's like, yes. You know, remember in Temple of Doom where Indy gets possessed by the demon and the Kalima Shakti Day guy is going to pull his heart out and stuff. Remember that like whole bit? And then he sees Short Round and he's like, Dr. Jones, what's happened to you? He's gone. Dr. Jones is gone. It was like that. Jake Barber is, yes, I must, I'm going to serve them and it's what they want. It's the best thing for all of us. It was fucking weird.
Hold on. It's at around 14 minutes.
No one got my.
People have given me quite a large reading list now. They know.
It's at around 14 minutes and 56 seconds, I think. But we can just watch a little bit more about that. He put it at 1450, I think is a good number. I just sent it to you on the chat. 14.
And by the way, quick time check, guys. People at home, we were talking internally about how long these things need to be, and we agreed that 3 hours is probably too long. We have gone past the 2 hour mark, and now we're at 3:10. So just so you guys both know, if you want to stick around, or
I just feel like we're cooking. So
we're cooking now.
Yeah. Same.
We're in Doom mode. Doom is that bonus hour at the end.
13 minutes. What? Sorry.
1450.
1450.
Ooh, this is weird. Watch this, guys.
Breakdown and how would that affect my career as an operator?
Can you pause it a little bit?
I served.
Just here, he's talking what happened right after he had that experience, because he was all loopy and.
Is this with the 8 gun? Sorry.
Yeah, with the 8 gun, and he felt a little bit compromised. He felt like he probably wasn't going to be able to do his job, but we're going to play about 5, 6, 7 minutes because I think it's important, and I don't think the channel minds because it's good promotion for the channel. I've spoken to this guy. What's his name? Hold on. What's his name? Antonio Virsi.
Antonio Virsi.
Yeah, that's his name. Shout out, Antonio.
In a number of roles, mostly as a helicopter pilot, in my scope of work as a contractor. And in reporting something like that could negatively impact my eligibility to maintain my licenses. And so I didn't share it, but in my official work capacity, but it definitely led me to reach out to people that were more spiritual in nature and that were suited, to serve as a group, a fellowship group for myself to begin exploring what had happened and what does the rest of my life mean now that this thing is with me. Yeah.
So,
just real quick, that's him talking about the first thoughts he had after his encounter, right? Crazy.
Yes.
Okay. We're not crazy, but cool.
you said that this entity protected you, also in some difficult situations. And do you feel this entity is with you always?
Yeah.
Always with you?
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
So your life has changed?
Yeah.
Forever.
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 Yeah, and I just want to know how to serve it, and I want to share it with my family and my kids and as many people as I can, because I think it is something like a spiritual awakening and a calling on all humans on this planet to rise and awaken and to become the best version of themselves, and that we have this tremendous responsibility as conscious creatures that are more than animals, but maybe less than gods. But we certainly are part God and part animal. We have a combination of beast and benevolence that is important, because we are essentially the universe being conscious and aware of itself, and there's a role that we have to play that we haven't been playing for a very long time. And for some reason, this is happening, and there is we call it serendipity. There's something like serendipity where things are happening for a reason, and it confirms its presence to me and to others that I associate with all the time. And so there is like this quickening of meaning and connection. And I mean, it's a blessing itself to know that there is a purpose like that to serve. And so I spend a lot of time, even in just micro moments of life, like every moment I ask for guidance to do the next right thing. Like I feel in every moment there is you could be aiming up or be aiming down. A famous speaker, Professor Jordan Peterson, talks about this moral arrow, like in every moment there's an opportunity to follow God or to follow the devil, if we're to use more of a Christian reference. And small moments are just as important as large moments. And in every moment you should be looking to aim up. So I'm always referencing the spirit and asking it for, just help me to do the next right thing and to see the right next thing to do. And I don't know, I'm going with that, but that's how it impacts my life all the time.
And
That's it, I think.
what are
Something that I did say after he mentioned this is that if you read the literature, many of the world's most consequential and influential ufologists, like John Keel, Jacques Vallée, Patrick Harper, they all say the same thing. Like, you go through their journey, and at the end of it, they're like, this thing is deceiving me, and it starts with like really nice like interactions like this, and then it morphs into something twisted at the end, especially with John Keel. There are some writings that were leaked on Reddit a while ago where he describes like all the doomy aspects of what he discovered. And I made this comment about just be careful, because if it is something that is deceiving you and is making you feel really good right now, and it has like some kind of different agenda or just wants to play with your perception, you need to be aware of that. Because if you're not, you can very easily fall into a place where, for example, Brian Bledsoe has fallen into, I think. So just be mindful of that. And I did resonate with what Jake said in a sense, because I went through a near-death experience in 2014, and a lot of what he said resonates with me. I felt like, and it's going to sound ridiculous because I'm not religious at all, I'm agnostic. I felt like something has been protecting me for a while since that happened. And I don't know how to explain it. That's one of the things that I'm trying to find out about my experiences, because I want to know what the fuck that is. What is communicating in really sometimes nuanced and subtle ways throughout my day, but it is, I feel like it is. Maybe I'm crazy too, but I don't know.
I don't think you're crazy. I think that, he talks about, it seems like he's talking about a couple of different things. He starts out with like what sounded like a pretty clear, concrete, this thing I experienced is with me, like now in the room. It's, it's the presence that's with me, and it had this huge effect. And then he had this sort of other comment about just, sort of like having a clear moral compass and understanding like what the right next move is in life and how to, you know, just generally like golden rule kind of stuff, treat others as you'd be treated. And I'm not sure exactly what he's driving at here, but he kind of says when he's like, oh, I want to figure out how to serve it and introduce my family to it. That sounded really creepy to me.
Yes.
And Carla Turner famously in this really, I don't have the clip available right now, but she did this great MUFON presentation where she's like, these things are deceivers. Like they will fucking lie to you and tell you all kinds of horse shit. And then it, you know, just play with your mind. So I think there's something, yeah, what you're saying makes a lot of sense to me. There's
well,
even his original origin story, Jake Barber's original origin story of moving the 8-gon and having this thing that like hooked into him and made him feel overwhelmingly emotional and just overcome with intensity during that. He didn't even know if he could keep flying his helicopter. That to me sounded suspicious the first time I heard it. Like, is this thing capable of taking control of you from a distance and then like affecting what you're doing and your decision-making process? And like,
yeah.
What if you extrapolate that out across, you know,
and
how, you know,
and Jake very clearly says that he doesn't feel in control then. And he's like weary of what the hell is this? I can't do my job while I'm in this state, you know?
Well, put it this way, when you had your NDE and when I've talked about it on a recent episode when I had a small spontaneous awakening, I wasn't in control. I had no control over that. And I had no control over the following 2 days. Clint, when you had your experience in ayahuasca, you had no control, but you're still thankful for it.
Yeah. Well, my experience was in the sense that I had an experience that opened my mind. It was an experience that I was searching for. I traveled to Peru. I went to Cusco for this thing. I prepared for weeks in advance. And so when I came face to face with my experience, that was like, to me, it was in my own personal journey. It was like when Luke Skywalker has to go into the fucking cave and fight, you know, what he thinks is Darth Vader, but he finds out it's actually his own fear. You know, it's like that. I had one of those come to Jesus moments where I crossed over to the other side for a little bit and I was shown some things that really related to me personally and that I was able to verify later as time passed. Jake's story, it sounds like something else came from outside in and affected him. You know, he wasn't expecting this at all. There was no preparation. And he's just like flying a helicopter and then suddenly this happens. And I wonder to what extent, you know, it seems obvious to me that there is a mental plane. There is a mental plane of existence that we can access through psychedelics, maybe through the right application of psychedelics and protocol. There's a way to get there. And when you go there, there's rules of the road. One could write an operating manual for how to handle yourself in that realm because there must be a way to do it. And I feel like these beings are looking at us from that realm, at least some of them, and they're looking down and they can see everything and we cannot penetrate back up. So they're able to, I don't know,
just so
reach out and touch us in a way.
Chris is in the chat and he's rocking out on the fact that we've all got his merch on right now.
Hey, Chris.
To possibly over talk about Alan Watts so much, but you guys know I love Alan Watts, and yeah, he even featured in Chris's intro music in his live show. So he echoed a very old Hindu trope that the universe is basically just playing hide and seek with itself. So of course, we're not told the truth because that would be cheating. You have to find your own way there. Like you can be shown these glimpses, but in a way you are serving the eventuality, which is probably your own death. In a way, you're serving that that purpose in the fact that you're fulfilling the whole point, which is to just play a game. You've got nothing else to do. So you're sort of hiding from yourself. And this is why this is so elusive and so impossible to try and understand. And the fact that we've spent thousands of years trying to interpret this, we've come up with loads of different interpretations, none of which appear to be true, or at least they all appear to be true in their own very particular way. but there is still this essence that we can't seem to grasp. We can't understand what consciousness is. We can't pinpoint it anywhere in the brain. So it all alludes to the idea that, yeah, we're not allowed to know the real truth of it. We can keep looking, and that's part of the fun, but we are seeking right now. And at the end of the game, you find yourself and you go, hey, look, I found you. And that's it. You start again. Like, that's basically it. You get to the end of the game and it's like, oh, it was me all along. That's it.
It was me.
Start again.
Moving it to a more baseline explanation that overlaps with what you just said, Sander, I think Jake Barber is essentially describing what the process of gnosis is.
Yeah.
But he's looking at it through a more slightly religious lens, because he does talk about God, and I've heard him talking about angels and all that stuff. So I think it's just like an interpretation thing in my experience. And I do think that this process of gnosis is something that everybody should strive to look for, because before that happens, there's a lot of confusion in oneself. And then after you go through that process, in your case, it happened with ayahuasca, I became a little bit addicted to like ego death for a while. I was in my 20s.
Your balls to the wall, man.
Yeah. And I think that that's something that will inevitably start awakening people to what really is out there, and if you like Keel and you like this concept of the super spectrum, the process of gnosis would be a good idea to look for if you want to have a wider vision of this super spectrum that is there, according to Keel.
I watched a great talk with Rupert Sheldrake this morning, and if I can find it, I'll send you guys the link. But he's talking about why it was called like why everybody on ayahuasca sees elves, or why everybody on DMT sees elves, and he's talking about it's an hour and a half long, so there's no way to sum it all up here. But one of the things that he talks about is the experience of psychedelics, like the actual experience of going through the gnosis process that you just described, Pavel, is what he suspects is the reason why they're so effective for treating anxiety and depression. They were asking about, like, what do you think about the pharmaceutical companies trying to take psychedelics and patent them and turning them into medicines? And he said something really interesting. He said, it's the experience of taking the substance, having the ego death, going to another layer of reality and knowing that is real, feeling it for yourself, and then coming back. That gnosis change, that's what changes people forever. And that is accessible to anyone who can, I guess, legally and properly acquire the right psychedelics according to the laws of your state and municipality.
And this can be reached not just through psychedelics. You can go to a temazcal and get into extreme levels of heat, and you start like going through a really intense process. You can go into meditation for many, many years, and you can reach that state as well. There are many roads. Some of them are shorter than others. Some of them are dangerous. Some of them are not. But there are many roads.
But I can tell you, from personally, what the thing that changed in me was once I had that experience and I understood what I was looking at, and I realized, I came back from it and I went, oh, okay. It calmed me way the fuck down. It really took the edge off. I mean, I've always been kind of, high strung individual, but it was like, you just know that this level of perception that we live in every day, the 9 to 5, going to the store, going to the, changing the oil in the car, all the stupid normal shit. You just know that there is another layer past that. And just knowing that is comforting. I don't know. For me anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There is definitely very comforting. Particularly like for people such as myself, like I'm sure there's more than one person in the chat that has, I quite literally have death anxiety. I think about death throughout most of the day. So I spend a lot of time thinking about it. I try and rationalize the experiences I've had, to be able to deal with the fact that one day the party's going to end and carry on without me. So I guess maybe some of this is coping to some degree, and I guess a lot of people, some people may take that to the extremes. But at the same time, there are genuine experiences to be had that are, and without getting all love and light and woo woo, they are, as I've said a few times, realer than real, and they are, for the most part, extremely rewarding when you have them. It is complete. It's like a 180 on perspective when you watch the news and then you have this happen to you. It's a complete 180. You're like, you kind of almost have to laugh at it. I can't help but think that's maybe the end. The end game is that feeling rather than the test or the game that we seem to be running right now. For whatever reason, I don't know.
One of the things I find it so interesting about NDEs is that everybody who has one seems to come, anybody who has an NDE that comes back and tells the story, that it's almost always, oh, don't worry. Like, dying is the easiest thing. It's like, it's actually the least scary thing that's going to happen in your life. Like the people who describe it very, with a sense of relief. Like, oh, I didn't even know it happened. And then suddenly I'm like, oh, this is what's going on.
My experience is a little different though, because I was going in and out of consciousness when it happened because of substance abuse. I had like a cocktail. If my mom hadn't been there, I would have died. She took me through the entire process and I didn't lose consciousness. So for me, it was like a constant state of dread and fear that I was gonna die.
Ooh,
And then after it happened, I went to sleep and my mom was really angry the next day because I didn't let her sleep for over 24 hours. And she was like, you motherfucker, you were laughing in your sleep. She was really pissed off. But the thing is, the same type of effects after it happened did happen to me as if I lost consciousness. The thing that stayed though is that dread of dying. That is still there for me.
Well, I don't want to die. I mean, I don't think anybody, no, we're not, I don't think I'm looking forward to it, but there's a book called, Geraldine Cummins wrote a book on the afterlife. I cannot remember the name of it, but it's so good. And, describes there are many books that have been written on what happens immediately after and people who experience the afterlife and detailing it out. And one thing
is it The Road to Immortality?
The Road to Immortality by Geraldine Cummins. That one is fucking great. And what I take away from all of those reports is that there is continuation of consciousness beyond the point of physical death. For sure. As to how, what the process is like for every individual person, who knows? It's an individual thing, but those reports give me comfort that you are still you. There's a you-ness that goes that exists after your body is no longer.
Maybe that light is just you eventually coming through the portal that Sam Altman has just created with AI, and it's just your face coming through the other side.
Oh my God!
Something about that I find interesting, and I'm going to share this because my grandma passed away less than a month ago, and my grandpa, her husband, Nono, we call him. He's the Italian guy from our side of the family, from my dad's side. Well, she passed away. She was suffering dementia. And this guy, before he had like a really horrible heart attack that nearly killed him about 3 or 4 months ago, his entire personality changed. Before that, he was a real asshole. Like he's been like some of the worst people that like, and after that happened, my dad talking to me, he was like, your grandpa is a different person. He's like, he became really empathetic, really weird. Like I've never hung out with your grandpa as I'm doing right now, and I'm really enjoying it. So it does fundamentally change you. And that happened to me too. I started appreciating like the little details of life, and I haven't stopped since. Like I still have that kid-like sense of wonder for things. And that happened, that increased after I had my experience.
That makes sense. The sense of wonder, the sense of like, I've experienced that too. Yeah, you just feel like maybe it has something to do with I don't know. Did you have the experience, Pavel, of being able to like relive? Did you do a life review where you can relive experiences as other people?
I had different dreams after my near-death experience where I had the live review multiple times, not just the one time. I think maybe that's why, because I didn't go out when I went through it, and I went to sleep after going through it conscious.
Life review. Life review is that's a real experience that will fuck you up in a good way. You will come back changed because of the life review, because I went back over my life and I relived experiences where I was the other person, or I was one of 5 other people in the room, or I got to see it. I got to see all the stupid shit I was doing from other people's eyes, and like it made it real for me. And I came back and that's where I came back and I was like, everyone's fighting the same, we're all fighting demons. We're all fighting battles. Everybody's got it. But, there's like, you're responsible for what you bring into the world. So you need to bring positivity and bring light and energy. And I don't know. It gave me that perspective that I just did not have before.
I feel like I need to buy some crystals.
A geode.
I did look at buying some bismuth the other day.
Real quick, I am going to totally change topics really fast, and then I want to just share this doomer story really fast, and then I want to end because it's coming up. It's 3:33, guys, for all you numerologists out there. Have you guys seen this story? Here's our last doom story for today. Have you seen this story about the robot wolves that China has deployed?
You love a robot. You love them.
Here we go.
Black Mirror vibes.
So a couple of weeks ago, no, I don't even think it was a couple of weeks. It might have been 2 at most, but there was a big report. Zelensky came out and said that in Ukraine, for the first time in history, a Russian unit was completely surrounded by a fully autonomous or fully robotic force. They were using drones and robots to surround this Russian position, and they took prisoners. They actually were successful engaging them and then captured prisoners with only robots and drones. And right after that news broke, there was this report from the CCTV video news agency and the Chinese military that they are deploying robots.
Where they're in the house and it clears it.
Mm-hmm.
The robot dog, and the soldiers follow it because the robot dog's just doing all the work.
And you can see here, like, even if they look a little clunky, which they kind of do, but realize what this is. Like, this is the worst this stuff is ever going to be. It's only going to get more advanced. And when they plug an artificial superintelligence into the internet, it's going to access all this shit. I mean, when these weapons are turned on us, it's over. It's so over.
How's the Doom meter, by the way?
I'll just quickly check.
What is our Doom?
That'll do it at the end of the day.
Guys, you want to try to get the Doom meter up to 11, or should we wait? We shouldn't artificially inflate that.
Force it.
Don't force it.
We're at
no. We're at 8 or 9, right?
7 right now. It's not so bad. To be fair, I agree with that.
Doom
we
level.
could be far doomier, but then again, we don't want to force this. We need to do this week on week, and I think we might get there. We might see 11 one day.
Might get there.
There's still room to grow.
If it gets to 11, Justin, is there like a special animation? Do we get like a Jeff Goldblum comes out with an Easter egg? It's like, congratulations. All right, we have to wrap it up, but I want to share one more thing before we do, and this is just this one's for me. Where is it? Here we go. This is a photo from Christine. Christine bought some night shift coffee and left a great 5-star review. Just had your coffee, and it's fantastic. Good, strong flavor without the bitter notes, and I could tell that it was freshly roasted. I made espresso with it and a cup of drip coffee. Both were wonderful. Thank you, Christine, for the fabulous review and for trying some night shift coffee. And I'm going to just do one plug for this really quick, guys. The whole point behind this coffee thing, it's what I'm drinking right now, by the way. It's what's in my cup. The whole point behind doing this was that we bow to no sponsor here at the Night Shift. So we made up our own fucking product, and we are our own sponsor. And if you want to support this channel and you want to see more talks like this and you want to see us do deeper dives with more cool guests, the best way to help us do that is to just keep supporting Psicoactivo, Dreamland, support me, Night Shift, everything that we're doing here. And so my thinking was, let's put out some coffee. I'm going to make sure it's the best fucking coffee in the world. When you make an order for this, your beans are green until your order comes in, and within 48 hours, we roast them and ship them straight to you. So this is literally the freshest coffee that you can buy, and it's delicious. It's awesome. So the whole point is, you can subscribe to this. You can buy one at a time, or you can join me in my coffee addiction. Subscribe once a month. You'll get a bag of coffee, and you'll help us out too. It's a win-win. I can't stress this enough. Everybody wins, and it's delicious. TeamNightShift.com. Go there, check it out. I highly encourage you, and thank you to everybody who has ordered some already. We broke the website the first day we launched this, and you guys are phenomenal. Nice. So thank you, everybody.
I got something that I would like to share, if that's okay with you guys. Because
and Xander, I'm bringing you some to contact.
Oh, yeah, please. Yeah, okay.
I got a friend named Pavel, actually, but with a W, from Poland, who's a video game developer. And he contacted me telling me that he's going to try and include people from the UFO sphere in a video game that he's developing that is called Majestic. And I just sent Sander the trailer on Signal. Maybe we can close with that. It's just a minute-long clip.
Let's take a look. You got it?
Yeah, give me a second.
And shout out to Chris over at Area 52 for picking up a couple of bags of Night Shift coffee. Thanks, man. You're the best.
About time he pulled his finger out, really. He's been really slacking. Yes, I have this video ready. What do you want to do? Do you want to close it? Do you just want to just watch it now and then say thank you afterwards? Or
is it a good video to close out on?
I think it is. It's an RPG for any gamer, but you can play the video and then play the outro if you want.
Let's play it, and then we'll come back and we'll wrap up, and we'll send everybody home.
Here we go.
Announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
You know, I was there when we intercepted the Magenta craft in Europe during the war. It's long overdue that we establish an organized structure to manage whatever this is. Ontological shock is to be expected. If you feel like staring at a wall for a few minutes, questioning your existence, I understand. The phenomenon will challenge your perception of reality and yourself. Secrecy must be maintained, no matter the cost. Otherwise, we risk plunging the world into uncontrollable chaos. We need to establish a global foothold and determine the agenda of the others. Congressional oversight must be avoided. We formed the UN and Five Eyes for that very purpose. Trust no one. Remember, they walk among us.
Wow. I am sexually aroused.
So you got to be the bad guys in that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, pretty crazy, right?
Did anybody play XCOM? Remember XCOM back
No.
20 years ago? This video game was unbelievable. This looks so cool.
Yeah.
Wow. So when's it come? Has he said it's coming out, or what?
Right now. It's on the Steam platform. It has a bunch of wish lists already, and it's still in development. But he told me that I could show the trailer, and he's going to be including a lot of people from the UFO sphere, like us and others. I think Chris will be there too. I would guess, but like it's like telling what the story that is unfolding, but through an RPG video game.
That is awesome. That is awesome. It's on Steam. So so if people want to find it, what's it called? So they can look it up. They're asking in the chat. What can people do?
It's called Majestic. I'll send you the link in a little bit, but the game is called Majestic from Ashla Studios.
Very nice. And is he going to come? Did you do an interview with him, or are you going to?
We're gonna do a when it's ready. We're gonna do a what's it called? Gameplay. on my channel.
Oh, can I get in on that? I would totally. Yeah, I would love to. That would be great.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be
we
fun.
We can plan it for a Doomer Friday. I don't give a shit.
We'll
It's
do a
gonna
live
be fucking
gameplay
awesome.
on Friday. That'll be great.
Yeah.
I'll bring a beer. Oh, real quick while we're wrapping up, guys. So I've got Andy's book here right now. I'm reading Atlas of Unidentified Flying Objects. This is awesome. It's Andy McGrillen, the host of That UAP podcast or That UFO podcast, put out this beautiful book, and he breaks it down by case by case, Pascagoula, Devil's Den, and shows just where the reports were, photos, descriptions of the craft, drawings. I mean, all here in one book. Very cool. And Andy's going to be, was it next week, right? Is he going to be on the
next week? Yeah.
Next week, Andy's going to be joining us. Very excited to talk to him. So yeah, guys, you got to come back and join us next week. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe if you haven't already, not only to this channel, but to all of the other fine channels associated with our group, because we're all doing really, really, we're working really hard to do this. I know Xander is, I know Pavel is, I know we all really believe in what we're doing. So it means everything that you guys come here each week and hang out with us. So keep supporting us and we'll keep doing it. It means more than you know.
I imagine, Pavel's, you've hit 50K now, right?
All right, yeah. We got to 50K, guys. Congratulations.
Well done, Pavel. That's really good.
Shout out to everyone who left a super chat. You are great. Jez Taylor, 6308. Thank you for, I have Andy's book. Anyway, have a $5 each. Thank you. Thanks to everybody for supporting the channel, for supporting the show and being here, participating in the chat. We will see you again next week. Until then, be kind to yourselves, be kind to each other. Realize that it's tough out there. We're all fighting our own battles, and you never know what someone's going through. So give them a little space and listen if they want to talk. That's it for me. We'll see you again next week. Thanks for watching. Keep looking up, and we'll see you then. Bye, guys.